Please let me know if everyone can see. There we go. Hi, Luke and Peter. So we are live. I'll just let a few more people hop in. We've got 680 people here in the live. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Just going to let a few more people come in. Can everybody see and hear okay? Just give me a yes if you can hear and see okay. I've got a lot of hello Peters and hello Luke, so I'm assuming that we are all good. Hey Luke, hey Peter, yes. Hi everyone, hi Luke and Peter. Hello everybody, right, thank you. Okay, so firstly, welcome to what is going to be a quite a long evening. Thank you for Mr. Peter Faulding for being here, and this is going to be an important night for Peter. So, firstly, I just want to introduce tonight's video. Tonight's very important live video, which will last a bit of a long time, but it is very important, as we are all aware. So, first things I just want to say is that the reason we're here today is that some people out there have been confused about things that Peter said and has done during the search for Nicola Bulley, compared with what was said to me in a recent interview, which is on my channel. If you've not seen the interview yet, I suggest you go and watch that first. We'll come back to this later on. Now, it's Peter that wanted to do this live Q&A. It was actually Peter's idea, so respect for that. And we're going to clear up some confusion on a few things. Now, there's 50 questions here today. And that's quite a lot of questions, as you're all aware. And these questions were all picked by the public the other night in one of my live videos. That is viewable on my channel. Anyone can go and check that. These are not my questions. These are your questions. So, moving on. Yeah, what I would like to say is please look at the description in this video. There's a few things said in there. Just please read that. But I'm just going to briefly go over what's in there now anyway. Yeah, basically the description is just laying out kind of what will and what won't be tolerated in this kind of chat. We're here to get some information, to clear up a few things. We're not here to insult. We're not here to accuse. We're not here to swear. Negativity and that kind of rude, not very nice behaviour won't be tolerated here. So the 50 questions are at the ready. Like I said, they've been chosen by yourselves. I will ask, I will sit back, and I will let Peter answer those questions. Please do not super chat any questions, as they won't be read out. And I don't want you to waste any money by asking them and expecting them to be read out. Feel free to super chat any nice comments, any gratitude, and any offers of support. Though, again, I can't promise to read those out, as I'll mostly be focusing on speaking with Peter on what is going to be a very busy and important live this evening. Please refrain from swearing, from insulting, from accusations, from speaking about the family, police bashing, or any rude behaviour, as it will not be tolerated and you will be removed from this. That is for the very, very, very few. The majority, I know it'll be a really good, interesting time, and, you know, people are going to take a lot from this. I've got my heater on. I'm not freezing to death. I've got a light. I've got my coffee. Pete, have you got your drink? Have you got your coffee?
Yeah, got mine, Luke. Tea.
Right. So what I'm going to just do is I'm just going to basically ask you, Peter, is there anything that you would like to say before we begin this live?
I'd just like to say to everybody, thank you for coming, and thank you for sort of hearing my side of the story. And what I've got to say tonight is the absolute truth, and I would stand up and swear in any court on this, everything. And most of the work that we've done on the Nicola Bulley case was witnessed by most conversations were witnessed by my team, and all actions were witnessed by my team. and they're very credible ex-military and police people. So, and I've also had a lot of backing from current serving police officers and ex-police officers to do this. So I've got a lot of support, and I must say I have the greatest respect for the police. I work with them all the time. This is not about getting at the police or criticising, but this is sharing my side of the story to a few inaccuracies that have been given in the College of Policing report. Quite a few inaccuracies, and I just want to get the story correct so we can all move forward.
Well said. So the 50 questions that I've got now, obviously 50 questions is a lot. Please bear with Peter on the answers, because we're not here for the questions to just be a quick 1 second job. This is very, very important. So this will be long. And also, you know, we're all humans. There will be calls of nature throughout this, I'm sure. So at the 25th question, we are going to just stop for a couple of moments. You can stare at this lovely background while I go for a call of nature. I'm sure Peter will need to go for a call of nature as well. So yeah, we'll do that at question 25. Now, we've got 1,078 people in here today. So if everyone can hit the like and show some gratitude for Peter Faulding and for choosing to come on here live and doing this, that'll be very appreciated. I can personally say for myself that my experience with working with Peter is a very, very honest and genuine guy. And if I thought otherwise, I would not be sat here right now conducting this live. So at the end of all the questions, there will be a lot answered throughout the questions. But once we've done the questions, Peter is then going to take us through the whole search from himself and SGI from start to finish in meticulous detail. Is that correct, Peter? You're going to take us through.
That's correct, Luke. And what I do want to say, I do not know the questions. I've got no notes written down. I've got a couple of bits I want to read out to you later, but I've got no notes. I've got no screen in front of me. This is all I've got a very photographic memory. I can remember everything, so I don't need to. I'm not making anything up. This is as it happened tonight. So please bear with us.
Respect, Peter. Thank you for the super chat tips. They're very, very appreciated. This has been you know, a couple of weeks in the making now, and you know, it's a big night. So, Peter, I'm going to go straight into the questions. Okay, I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to sit back, and I'm going to be a bystander like everybody else that's in this chat.
Sure.
Right, and again, just to reiterate for anyone that's popped on, these questions have come from yourselves, have come from the public. These are not my questions, and they are all viewable. I'll say that again, viewable in a live that we conducted the other evening. So, the first question, is it usual or unusual for a target to be found in a fetal position in the water?
No. So I just want to clarify the fetal position. It's quite common, in fact. We find, on average, about 10 drowning victims each year across the southeast. The majority of them are laying on one side. When I say fetal position, people have taken that the wrong way, where they actually, like a baby in mum's womb. When I say fetal position, we call it in the trade as laying on the side with the legs slightly bent. And that's it, laying on the side in curled up, but not too curled up. And it's very common for us to find them in that area, or often they can be face down with their knuckles dragging along the ground. It all depends, and it also depends on what state of decomposition they're in, because obviously bodies as well, after, there's no exact science on this, but they stay on the bottom. They always go to the bottom. When a person drowns, they never float. And that's since I've been doing this since 1999. We've never had a floating body. They only float after they decompose, and that could start decomposing. So it'd be 7 days, it could be 15, it could be 20. We had one in Thames Valley that came up after 3 months. So there's no exact science on this anywhere. So that is what I class as the fetal position, and we in the team do. They're laying on their side, slightly bent, with arms, and that's it. And that's the way they generally are. Not always, they can be in different positions, but quite a lot of the time they're in that position.
So it's more of a technical term used in
Yes,
it
is what we use in the team. That's correct.
Okay, there's a lot of people that I think I started with that question because there was a lot of people that were asked, they were wondering about that. So I think that might have cleared it up for a lot of people. Thank you for that. So we're going to go on to question 2. Just quickly, for any super chats that come in, I do see them. I do appreciate them. I do appreciate the gratitude and the tips. I just, at this moment in time, I won't be able to read them, but nonetheless, they are very appreciated. Okay, question 2. Do you agree or disagree that a body could pass over the weir after 23 days?
Over the weir in 23 days? Absolutely. Well, the body, let's clarify what would have happened. When somebody drowns, and this is the bit we need to start from the point A, really. If a body goes in the water, and normally we're finding them in, we never get called these days to search the sea. We used to get called to missing divers many years ago. There's no budgets these days. So most of our bodies are either in lakes, canals, or rivers. Now, if a body is in flood water, and when I say flood water, I mean after heavy winter rain, the banks are risen, and the water's throwing it down really hard. That's even too dangerous to put a diver into in them circumstances, and the chance of finding a body is extremely difficult. In normal water like the River Wyre, where Nicola would have gone in, that river that day was moving extremely slowly. I'd done a video, and it's online in one of the papers somewhere, and I threw a stick in with a member of the family, and I stood there, a family friend, and I stood there on the bank, and it was witnessed, and we threw the stick in exactly where in front of the bench, and that stick remains there for 20 minutes, and then we just walked off because it did not move. It did not move at that point. It stayed there. It's a very, very slow moving river. And I want to sort of say to you, the top part of the river where Nicola went in by the bench is what they call non-tidal. So it's not affected by the tide from the sea. Once you get about 300 meters, I'm guessing it's about 300 meters, I've never measured it, but I go along a long corner, approximately 300 meters, there's a weir. Then it goes down into a tidal section. So when the sea comes in from the main sea, miles away, it can rise and fall. So it's every 6 hours it comes in, and just like the sea, from the sea effectively. So down from Morecambe Bay. Now, if Nicola had gone in that day, she would have gone to the bottom. She would not have gone over the weir. Impossible. Unless she was swimming, or unless she was floating and swimming. So if after, and we'll come on to this later once I found the target, the body would rise eventually with decomposition gases. So you bloat from the inside, you blow up like a bloated seal, and then slowly you float to the surface, and then you would drift with a very slight current that is there. But on the 19th, there was a spring tide, and that's what the police correctly say in the report, is a huge tide. So there was thousands of gallons of water coming over that weir, literally over the top of the weir. And then that's where Nicola would have been picked up by that really heavy tide. And even they've said that in the report, although it didn't say where she was. Then she would have been carried down over the weir, and then she would have ended up in her final resting place. Now, we searched that lower part, the tidal section, which is extremely shallow in places. We could see the bottom. The boat kept grounding out as the tide went out. There was absolutely nothing at all on the riverbed in the lower section of the river. I want to make that very, very, very clear. Nothing at all on the bottom. And I've got a crystal clear image of that part of the river. So possible when someone floats and goes down, or lifted by a huge incoming surge of water and then carried away.
Thank you, Peter. Moving on. Do you feel that the case should be reopened, considering your findings?
Look, I see this all the time. I mean, look, all these inquiries about inquiries. I mean, if you think about the College of Police and Inquiry, this should never have happened. This should never have happened if the job was done properly, the search was done properly from day one. And if Nicola had been found, she should have been found technically 1 or 2 days. That was the hot zone. That's where she was. I'm not saying a day, but maybe 1 or 2 days. Although if we'd put our sonar in, she would have been found very quickly. Now, public inquiries and all this cost the taxpayer millions of pounds. This police and College of Police inquiry would have cost an absolute fortune. It's very easy to say reopen the case. There are parts of it need to be looked into, probably behind closed doors, and looked into what's happened here. But a huge inquiry will just take money away from the NHS and away from other vital services that are required. I just think we need to move forward on this. The truth needs to be got out there, and then people just need to move on. And also, certain people need to be held to account on other issues.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. Another question which has been asked by a lot of people: will you be releasing the sonar images?
Right. Certainly not. There's never been my intention. Sonar images, what I gave to the police, they won't be released into the public domain because they are extremely upsetting. And I wouldn't want the daughters to go through that when they're older. We may get to the stage in the future where we may, because if it continues to go the way it is, where people say they deny the images, we may have to go to a closed media conference where it's closed, where they can't be published, but they can be shown to make the point. But never released to the public. No, that would be totally the wrong thing to do.
I think that's fair enough. Moving on, I'm just gonna, once you've done your answer, I'll just go straight to the next one. Do you know why the search dogs didn't find her?
Right, I was actually with a good friend of mine, Mandy, last week. I used to work with a lot on missing people. Now, she had a dog called Carly. There's lots of dogs, again, with search and rescue organisations who are trained. It's not my area of speciality, but I've worked with dogs for many, many years, i.e. on the Tobin case and things like that. They are trained to sniff like pork, and that's what they train on, bits of pork and things like that. Bodies gas off after they start to decompose, as we said, and there's no exact science when they say. And Mandy confirmed to me that when a body initially goes in the water, a cadaver dog won't pick up a scent straight away because there's nothing actually gassing off. The body's not decomposing, so the water's acting as a shield. And it will be very, very difficult to pick up. Once a body starts to decompose and you get gas bubbles coming to the surface, then, excuse me, that I've just had a cup of tea. That stage that's when the cadaver dogs can start to pick up scent. I said that's not my area of expertise, but that's actually come from a dog handler. I've worked with blood dogs over the years who can smell blood, dogs that can smell money, dogs that can detect firearms, and they are absolutely brilliant. And the handlers are as well. But after 1 day or 2 days, I would be very surprised if, and that's from other dog handlers, if it would actually pick up a scent at that early stage.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on. Again, another question which has been asked by a lot of people: will you be releasing the pictures of the man in black?
No, I mean there's been a lot of speculation about this man in black. This man in black, I noticed. Look, we're suspicious. We work on these jobs, and you get suspicious about things that are going on. This individual came up to my team, as members of the public do, and on day one was asking lots of questions about the sonar. That was on Monday the 6th. On Tuesday the 7th, when we were searching the area around the bench and down the river, he appeared again, and he was standing there on his phone, and he was looking. He was just happened to be dressed in black. My team noticed him. I didn't, because I was on the sonar, and said that's that same guy. So I rang Dave Nelson from the Sun newspaper. I've known for years. He's the photographer. I said, Dave, could you just take a shot of this guy and take a couple of snips? And it may or may not be nothing, but I can't go into it. And then what I done, I sent that to the police search advisor, them images. Now, that man may be totally innocent. And what you could do is you could release an image eye of a man in black, and the guy is absolutely, he could be an undercover police officer, or he could be anybody. So I know I wouldn't be doing that, but I did hand it to the police. The police have probably looked into it, I would have thought, and I'm not doubting that. So, but the thing is, I never actually heard back, and that's what I was disappointed with. You know, you hand an image over, and you would expect somebody potentially come and take a statement from me, what would normally happen, and nobody ever did. I never even heard. So that's why I mentioned it. Things like this must be done. You can't just hand an image over on a WhatsApp message and then hear nothing back. Nothing. And that was my concern about a lot of things about this case, really.
You at least wanted that to be maybe looked into at the time.
Yeah, or just a reply message. I've actually passed it. Thank you, Peter. I've passed it on to the inquiry team, and we're dealing with it. That's all I need. I don't need to know anything else, and I would probably never know. But you know, I handle a lot of confidential information all the time, and I always get briefed by the SIO and the police, and with very complex information, and it never goes out to the public.
Okay, thank you very much. So. Moving on to the next question. Are you worried about the comeback of things that you have said publicly throughout this case?
I think I was always going to take a beating, wasn't I, really? I mean, let me make it clear. And this is what I want to talk about day one. We arrived on day one, and I flew up there, as you're probably aware. I landed in Emmersfield, and then I was briefed by one of my team, and he drove me. The lads have been setting the sonar boat up that morning, and he said to me, "There's media everywhere, Pete. Just be aware of that." And I got to the caravan where I went inside and briefed my team, and they were all taking photographs. And then, as I got out the caravan, there was no police officers, and I just had to walk down to the river to our boat that was set up. And now, I want to say that the media were very, very respectful to me. They didn't butt it. They didn't hound me. They were very respectful, and they said, "Do you mind? Could we have a chat later?" Whatever. Now, the point is here: whenever you do a job, we never speak to the media ever. If you look back a few months ago, the lady who got badly bitten and killed by the dogs in Caterham by the dangerous dogs when she was walking her dogs, that was our job to go and recover her body, and I had to locate the evidence that was all scattered around. Very high profile job. The media everywhere, but there was a cordon. Surrey police put a big cordon up with a tape, very politely with the media. The media are from a distance. My phone was going because we had our vehicles there. I didn't even answer it because I knew what it would be about. We never made comment, and it never went in the media. When we got to St Michael's, there was not even a cordon tape. Now, normally you would give the press an area, press compound, with a chemical toilet where they could actually happily be, give them a few bottles of water. They're just doing a job. You've got to realise this. They are just reporting to the public. But they were following us down the bank to the river. I had drones flying over my head. And at not one stage, no one mentioned it to me. And then I came out the river at the end of the day, and there's pictures online. I was surrounded in media, literally covered. And I spoke, I know a lot of them, like Martin Brunt from Sky. I've over the years, they've covered things that I've worked on, like the Gareth Williams case. So they're known. April Jones and Tobin, they're known, and they know me. And I don't want to be rude and arrogant, but no one's told me to stop. Now, if not one stage, one officer said to me, "Peter, quick phone call. Can you please stop talking to the media?" Now, as if with my reputation, I'm not going to say, "Oh, and just carry on talking," am I? I mean, it's ridiculous. So nobody told me not to speak to the media. They just let me loose. And for 3 days, no one said a word. And they said in the report that I was signed an NDA. I didn't sign an NDA. I signed a piece of paper that was highlighting we were responsible for our own health and safety. We were responsible for our own risk assessments and our equipment. Now, I run a multi-million-pound company, and I can assure you, so we're going since '95, I do know what an NDA looks like. This was a one sheet. I quickly scribbled in it and agreed it. Now, and also, at the College of Policing, they could not provide a copy of that said NDA to me anywhere. It doesn't exist. So I've never given confidential information. I've never broke I've never given away sensitive any information to anybody, and I never would. And I just need to clarify this, that I was just going up there to do a job, and I should have been just said, quick phone call, Peter, stop talking to the media. Great, that was it. But nobody did.
Yeah, and that would have been quite an easy thing to do, to be fair.
Well, it would have been it would have been even a quick WhatsApp would have been fine, and it would have happened. I mean, this was all witnessed by my team. I mean, my team couldn't believe it. I mean, highly experienced guys, and they've never seen nothing like it. They were everywhere, all over us, but they weren't. They waited till we finished our search, to be fair, but they were running down the riverbanks again, just doing their job, which is fair comment, you know. But no one was controlling them, and there was no press. There was no press officer on site from Lancashire Police to brief the media. I want to make that very clear.
Yeah, well said. Fair enough. Right, moving on. So, if you were in charge of this search yourself from the beginning, what would you have done differently, Pete?
Right. Okay. The first thing you did, I would have gone 100 metres upriver from the bench. I would have started the sonar bench. Well, we would have probably gone up to the caravan park, to be fair, because you never know where Nicola actually went in, although a phone was at the bench. And we would have run the sonar. I mean, we can cover about 10 miles of river a day with our sonar to find a body. Very, very rapid. I'm not talking about River Thames width. I'm talking about a normal canal, normal river.
Yeah.
We would have started 100 metres upstream, gone down past the bench, and basically she would have been found, because that's the area. I mean, she's not gone anywhere. The sonar we have is the best in the world. It's 1800 kilohertz. Now, I spoke to the manufacturers of our equipment a few weeks ago, Marine Sonic, and Terry confirmed to me that no UK police forces will spend £53,000 on their equipment. No police force has got our equipment. And although it said in the report they have the same equipment, they do not. I pioneered the use of side scan sonar in the UK in 1999 when I went over to the US, and I brought it back. I worked with Mark Harrison, MBE, the National Search Advisor, and we'd done 3 years of extensive trials, and then Mark used to started bringing me on, and murders, missing people all around the country. I've got so much experience, and I could find a lady's handbag on the bottom of the river with it. I can see footprints on the bottom of the river with it.
Yeah.
And I know that no one else has got the equipment in forensic search in the UK the same quality as ours. I know that for a fact.
Can I just say, and this is just an added, this is not in these questions, but it has, I've seen it a few times in the comments. Now, I just want to quickly say, there's a lot of questions that are like popping in that have already been answered in mine and Peter's interview before. If you haven't seen it, please go and check it out. It's on my channel. But I feel like this needs reiterating, because some people are a little bit confused by this. Now, some people are saying, if you located this target, why didn't you just go in and dive it yourself?
Right.
Can you let people know
why
that is?
No, that's a very fair question, actually. I mean, right. Firstly, we're working on a police operation, and it's their operation. First, you're in deep water. I can't just. We had a dive truck there, but our diving equipment was based in the truck in the truck. So we're in our. I'm in a waterproof suit and going down, keeping warm. We're sonaring. My job, and it was very clear, and we agreed this with the police, that if anything was found, then we would advise the police, and then they would they potentially would dive it. And I did say to them, we need to put a diver in, but they refused to let us, because they were like 3 hours away, but they wouldn't let us dive. So normally we would be the diving team, but they had their own, the Northwest Underwater Search Unit, who are, they're police divers, and that's their job. And we let them, obviously that was their job to do that day.
So just reiterate to everybody that's in here, if you were able to dive that target, would you have dived that target on that day you found the target?
We should have dived it straight away, because a target could be floating, it could be moving. If it's a bit, considering how long Nicola had been in the river, she may be slightly buoyant, slightly neutrally buoyant off the ground, and she could start to move. So that was really important to put a diver in quickly. Absolutely.
Right, thank you for that. I think that's clarified that, because I have heard that a lot of times.
I just say we can't just jump in the water. Firstly, without dive kit, it's too deep anyway. But we can't just jump over the side of a boat, or we can't use a hook, because the thing is, we do so many searches. I mean, you work. Fire and rescue normally get there before us. We'll arrive. They going in with their pole cameras, and even the firefighters say to me, Pete, this is too deep for us. We can't reach the bottom, and we're only looking. It's like looking at an eyeball in the bottom of the river. You're looking at a very narrow area, and the visibility was very poor as well. So a camera's not much use underwater in poor visibility, because we're normally diving in black water, so not a lot of use. So that's where it needs a diver.
Would you have got in trouble for diving if you went against their instruction?
I would never do that. I mean, you can't go against police instruction. I mean, that would just be suicide. I mean, you just wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it in respect. You don't break the rules. I mean, if you're briefed on a thing, say you don't do that, then we don't do it. I've been working with the police so long, and like I say, greatest respect for them. At the end of the day, we're not going to go off on a tangent and run our own operation here. I regret, like I said, probably talking to the media, but I had no little choice, because I was being surrounded with them every afternoon, every morning. But no, I certainly wouldn't break the rules.
Yeah, well, most people did and do understand that logic, but I wanted to clear that up as well. I think you've cleared that up quite well there, Peter.
Yeah.
Moving on. How much water does a drowning victim not? Sorry, I'll just rephrase that. How much water does a drowning victim take on typically?
I am not right. I'll be honest with you, Luke. We recover. That is not my area of expertise, and I don't want to go into that, because that is definitely not my area of expertise. But all I can say is, the victims, when we talk to witnesses of most sort of 17-year-olds, because I say the average age we recover is sort of 16, 17-year-olds, and they flail around in the water. They get exhausted, and once they take a gasp of breath, it's horrible to talk about. Then they go rapidly to the bottom.
Okay, I just want to say quickly, thank you to the mods. You're doing a really good job. If everyone hits like, show some support in the chat. Again, the mods are doing a really, really good job, and the chat is largely very, very positive. So, moving on. Right, now this is another question a lot of people have asked, and it is, why were you digging in the woods if you knew Nicola was in the river?
Right, okay. This is a great one. This made me chuckle, actually. The report made me chuckle on this one, and my team as well. Right, I wasn't digging in the woods. I've got some photos that I want to show you, which is quite interesting. So on the 8th, Wednesday, the 8th of February, 2023, I went for a walk with one of the family friends around, and that was when I threw the stick in the river. Now, what people need to realise is I get involved in specialist land search, and I've been for years, finding buried human remains. I have done training with the Forensic Science Service. I'm qualified. I work with top forensic archaeologists like Dr. Carl Harrison, Lucy Syburn from University College London. So my job is I would find either using ground radar or through my naked eye, looking at visual search, like I'm working on the Helen McCourt with trying to help mum of Helen at the moment, and Marie McCourt. And I was asking what had been done to the friends, and we were just walking along, and I walked into a wood. I'll show you the photo. I want you to see this, because I'm not misleading anyone. This is a tree stump. Now, can you see that? Hold it there, right? Hang on, let me try this. See that tree stump?
Yeah, I think we can all see that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Give us a thumbs up if you can see it okay. So, at the bottom of the tree stump, there's some odd bits of, I would say, camouflage. Can you see it doesn't match?
Get it a bit closer to the camera, Peter, please.
Hang on.
A bit higher. There we go. Right, now if you talk now.
So, all that debris laying in the front is in a very odd place to me, you see. So to my training, my eye, this is what I find. I find things. So that there, can you see it? It's very it doesn't look right. That type of debris shouldn't be in front of that tree stump. Okay?
Yeah, it does look weird, to be fair.
It's weird. So other people probably wouldn't notice it, but I notice things like that. So that's what I'm looking now. So what I did, I was actually this was witnessed by a family friend. So I then got a colleague, and my colleague was not far away. There was no police officers nearby. And I said, Lee, can you just get me a stick? And I didn't have my trowel with me, which I normally have. I said, something's not right here. So I scraped away the top. I photographed it as well. I did the right thing. I had gloves on, and I actually photographed this area. And then I started scraping away, which I would do on any job. And this is where I work with the archaeologist. Now, let me make it clear. A forensic archaeologist will excavate, a body. Their job is to dig up the evidence, and they would then do that if something is found. But what we're going to do is ring a forensic archaeologist in straight away to look at a bit of debris here. So that's what I do. And this is where people said, you're not trained to that. I do a lot of this. So then what I done, I scraped away, okay? Not with a gigantic shovel.
Pete, just pull that back slightly. Yeah, leave it there. Come forward a bit. Right, leave it there. We can all see that. Yeah, okay.
Okay. So what I done, I scraped that bit away with a sharp stick, okay? And I was outlining. So this ground had been disturbed. It had been dug, previously, and I was removing loose soil to outline the actual thing. And those who look at my SGI Facebook or my Peter Faulding Facebook, the author one, you'll see it. And that me working on a garden, working on a body I found under a path. Okay, now, so that's what I do. So that's it. That's the hole. Now, I was in the report. They said I dug a hole with a spade. No, I didn't. That's what I did. And then a police officer walked over, and he said, "Get away from there." And I said, sorry, really aggressively towards me. And I mean really aggressive. Get away, leave it alone. I said, well, I'm sorry, but I found disturbed ground. It's not your job. Now, what I want to make it clear, firstly, this area is not a crime scene. In fact, none of the area was taped off. So it's public land. I can dig exactly where I want. Okay, I want to make that very clear. And that's what I've spoken to police officers about in the last few weeks. They've already agreed. If you haven't got a crime scene log, so when you go in, so when there's a crime scene, it's taped off. And there's an officer on there, and he'll have a crime scene log. So when I go in my forensic suit normally, and my hood up, and my mask, and everything else, you'll see pictures of me online, fully gloved up. Then I sign the officer will sign me in, Peter Faulding, SGI, and then I can go into the scene. It's a go, no go. You can't go in unless you're meant to be there. Okay. Now, this was not a crime scene. It wasn't taped off. So I was actually breaking no rules. I was just found something that needed further investigation. And that's all I did. Again, I scraped that hole out. They've accused me of digging with a shovel. And then I said that this needs looking at. Fill it back in. Now, normally you wouldn't say fill it back in. You would say, right, thanks for that, Peter. We'll get it taped off. Or if there's another reason, in the police, they talk about technical things, which I'm not going to go into, but they would just brief me on it. And they would say, there's a reason, so just walk away and leave it. But they didn't. Okay, so I've broken no rules. And then they accused me of telling the family that I found a body deposition site. I would never say that to anybody, even if we're searching a river and I feel if I found a good target, I would explain. I'll explain to that a bit later. But I said to them, because they weren't doing anything about it. Normally, the officer would make in his pocketbook, he would make notes of it. He would get on the radio or the phone, said, Peter's found something, or brief me to other reasons to say, please walk away from this area. There's a reason. And I would have gone, okay, I'm with you now. The police who are watching this will understand what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to go into it in public. So that's what I did. And then I walked off then. And then at the end of the day, he walked, and that was getting dark now. And then he come up to me and just said, has everything been all right for you here? We treated you all okay? I said, well, yeah, I suppose so. And I sort of, I knew we weren't wanted anyway. And that was the last conversation I had. And that was the last time I heard from Lancashire, to be honest with you. But I want to make it clear, the report is very misleading. I would not dig up to disturb a potential crime scene, and it wasn't a crime scene. So I want to clarify that. And the beauty of this, when I went to the College of Policing Review in London, this whole conversation was recorded in front of 2 police officers, and I had an very senior officer with me as a witness on my side. Not that I just want to take a witness with me. And he saw everything. Everything's recorded. Exactly what I've told you is exactly the same. And so that is a totally misleading statement to bash me in the report. I would never tell the family that there's a body deposition site. I thought it may or could have been, because at this time I'd already been told that Nicola, that target in the river, was nothing. Yeah. I'd already been told it was nothing. So now I'm potentially looking for I didn't think she was in the river. So I'm now looking for a deposition site. And as you will recall from my statements, I was going to go back the following week to start searching the land, because it needed, wherever she was, you've got to, because I noticed a lot of the area hadn't been beaten down. Normally you'd have strimmers out, you would strim all the undergrowth back, and you would cut everything back and do a search for evidence. But that hadn't been done around there. So that's why. And also they said that the area had already been searched. Well, if it's searched, this area wouldn't have been camouflaged up. But what I don't like is the blame focusing on me, totally misleading the public in the report, which is totally wrong. And that's why I'm here today. I want to correct a few truths. So I've got no notes written down. I'm telling you exactly as it is, which was witnessed by another member of my team who's given a statement to a very senior person, in case this ever in the future we get called to some sort of inquiry.
I just want to say that the comments in the chat are very, very positive and in your favour. There's a lot of support here tonight, Peter. So just want you to be aware of that.
Thank you.
Everyone, 99% of people that are here are very much in your favour and very interested in what you're saying. So again, I want to thank you for being here. Okay, next question. Now, do suicide victims end up in the fetal position in water generally?
Well, they drowned. They normally drown. I mean, yeah, we had, during COVID, we had 3 female suicides, unfortunately, very sad. And the ladies all put makeup on and they drank, spirit, and they took tablets. It's pretty horrendous, really. And I wasn't the diver on them. I was on the them ones there. We didn't even have to sonar them 3 because we knew exactly where they were. So we just threw a diver in the water. Suicide victims drown. I mean, they drown themselves. So yes, they can end up in a fetal position. But when I say fetal, they're not pulled their legs up to their chest. Let me make that very clear. It's just the thing we use to say they're laying on their side with their legs slightly bent. And again, there's no exact way to go, but often when a person drowns, you can tell because they grab something like their glasses and they are holding them still, and it's pretty horrible to talk about, but they tend to grab at things. Yeah, it's called a death grip.
Oh, what, a death grip?
Yeah.
Wow. Right, moving on. Okay, do you think she was placed? Did she fall or had an altercation, in your opinion?
I'm never going to speculate about that. I mean, I don't think we'll ever know, and I don't want to think about that. I will never know, probably never know what's happened to Nicola. She was, she could have been pushed, she could have fallen. Nobody knows, and I don't want to start any speculation on that. I think the point is why wasn't she found earlier?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, just one moment. Slight technical issue. Now being recovered. Did you understand why you weren't allowed to retrieve your target at the time? Did you understand the logic behind that?
Yeah, because I did because it wasn't they had their own dive unit there. So they wouldn't want to use us at that stage. They would want to use their own dive unit, which is fair comment.
Okay.
Which was fair. I mean, they had their own underwater search unit, so they got their own divers. So why would they use another dive team when it's like if they were on our ground, it would be probably us who dived. So that was not a bad decision, by the way. That was their decision. It was their force dive team. The Northwest Underwater Search Unit covers North Wales, Greater Manchester, Cheshire, and I think it's Lancashire. So they cover like 4 areas,
4 counties, kind of thing.
4 counties, yeah. So that was, you know, I'm not saying anything on that. I mean, that was their area, and you know, they come and dived.
Fair one. Okay, moving on, question 15, and then we're going to have a break at 25. So, how deep was the water where you made your target discovery on the 7th of February?
So, we on our sonar boat, the towfish was down about 2 meters, so it was probably 2.5-3 meters deep. Because we didn't have a depth sounder, because it's an inshore boat. We don't have a depth sounder on the back because it means a lot of wire. We don't need it, because normally what we do, we find a target, and I can drop a plumb weight over the side on a bit of string and fill the bottom. Don't need it, you know, or we throw a diver in. I just throw a diver down, we'll plumb it and say it's brought me 6 meters, or just lower what we do normally is lower the towfish down, and the towfish cable is marked every meter. So when it goes down, we can count how many meters it's gone down, and we know how deep it is. On this one, it was more, there's a target there, handed it straight to the police. We'd done a couple of more scans, gave it to the police, and got out their way, because we did not. And the other thing, what we would normally do, we would normally drop a marker over the side. Now, that's what I want to make clear about this. So, right, if you imagine me sitting on the boat, you saw the pictures of me on the boat. I've got a computer, ruggedized laptop in like a housing, keeps it dry and keeps the sun off. Okay. Now, the GPS signal is being picked up from that computer. Now, GPS can give a fluctuation of up to 5 meters. Then the towfish itself, what's retrieving the signal from the thing, is a couple of meters back on the boat. So 1.5, probably 1 to 2 meters at the back. So that's 6.5 meters radius. So that target could have been anywhere between 6.5, 7 meters around that bit. It's not a pinpoint.
Okay.
And any diver knows that, who works on sonar, you know. So when we do a search, we'll search 12 meters either side of that thing, but we'll put a grid in and do it. And then we find the target. Now, they didn't put a jack stay in, what we call a jack stay search, where you put a jack stay and you swim the line, you go across and you come backwards, forwards, because it's a systematic search. So it's not a pinpoint. And what we would normally do, I would drop a line with a weight, and it would fly to the bottom, and it would mark roughly the area where the diver's set up. On this case, the reason we didn't do it is because the marker would have given away to the media that we actually found a target. And there is nowhere in any media where I said we found a target. As you know, there's nothing. So they never knew. What we then done was carried on up the river to take the focus away from the divers and us. So we just carried on. And the media said to me, you know, what's going on? I said, they're just doing a bit of diving. And I never mentioned to it, you see. So that's protocol.
Just in case people don't know what you've mentioned, towfish a few times. Can you just clarify what a towfish is for people?
Yeah, it's a big missile, about 3 foot long, like a missile. It looks like a rocket hanging under an airplane, and it's got bright yellow.
And what's the job of that?
It's on a cable, and it through the cable it brings a signal back to the computer. Okay. So it sends sound waves across the seabed, and them same sound waves bounce off, and it comes back in, and it's processed by the computer, which ultimately gives me the image.
Right. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yep.
I think you've kind of already answered this, but it is a question that I said I would ask. Do you think that the media were a problem in this case?
I don't think the media were a problem. I think the lack of police information being given to the media was the problem. As I said before, there was no comms officer down there. There always is a press officer on a major job. And I mean, if you look back a few months ago, there was the case where sadly the little baby was gone missing with the parents that was eventually found in Brighton. Sussex Police gave a daily update every day to the media, every day. And there was not one criticism. And they'd done an excellent job. Unfortunately, they found the baby deceased. A really sad job. But the police briefed the media. And that's all they need to do. Now, again, after the Leveson inquiry, as Martin Brunt said in his recent book, I read it's more about now what's happened. Relationships between the media have been fractured. And normally the media would get an off-the-record chat and say, look, we're dealing with a vulnerable person. We don't want you to report on that, but just be careful how you report. And they wouldn't report on it, you see. But now it's very fractured. So there's a big issue, and the media were going mad up there because they weren't getting any updates. All they are doing is their job. I know some people, some media outlets might skew the truth a bit, and to sell the papers or whatever.
Yeah.
But you just need the public are waiting for the facts. And if you'd have a daily press statement, just someone there every day, then it would have been a lot easier. And that's the other thing I'll get onto here. I was accused in the report as wanting to do, and this is comical. I mean, myself and my senior officer laughed at this, and this was all taped. They said I was waiting to do a photo opportunity with the chief. I mean, I certainly don't mind. I don't need the publicity. I was there and I couldn't get away from it, unfortunately. And Paul was going mad. Okay, Paul on the Thursday, Paul Ansell, Nicola's partner. I was talking to him and the family in the back of the caravan. We all witnessed by all these with the family liaison officer, and he was saying to me, "When are you going to search the sheds in the village? Why are you not searching the outbuildings?" And he was crying his eyes out. And they said, "Well, we can't just search the sheds without a warrant." And I said, "Well, of course you can. You just go and ask. You don't need a warrant to search someone's shed. You just knock on the door. Would you mind, sir?" And we've done it loads of times, working with the police on the Sarah Bentford case. Not a problem. You can just open the. I go and ask them, and then freely open the door if they got nothing to hide. If they hide it, you go and get a warrant. So that was interesting. So then we came out, and I said to the sergeant, "You need to get your senior officers down here. Paul wants to do a press statement, and he wants to talk to get the facts out because you're not updating anybody. Can you come back to me as soon as possible and let me know?" I waited, and then he went on leave. Never heard back. So that was again beating me up in the report. I mean, what we've got to consider here, excuse me, I just got an itchy eye. This report was meant to be looking into Lancashire's policing of this job. This wasn't about Peter Faulding, but most of the report, they've come out gleaming, and I've been stabbed and stabbed and stabbed. It's quite comical, and I'm glad I'm here tonight actually being able to tell the truth, because everything has been taped when we spoke to the college police. Everything's been witnessed, and that is a total lie. It's a totally misleading statement, because those who know me well enough, they know I'm an honest guy. I don't lie. I don't mislead people. And if you go on my social media, you'll see there's no selfies of me. I'm not a self-publicist.
It's all your animals.
Oh, it's all my animals. I live on a farm, so I've got all these beautiful animals. I've got my dogs laying down here by the fire now. But that's me. I'm not a selfie person. I'm not exactly George Clooney. So I think that's not fair, and that's not fair to beat somebody up who's a partner, who's worked with the police and done so much good work since 1999 and many years before that in other work, and then just to try and discredit you. It's totally unfair.
Yeah, totally. I just want to say to anyone that's come in recently, because I think 500 people more have come in since we started. There's a lot of questions being asked. The 50 questions that are being asked today were asked by the public about 3 or 4 days ago on a live video. They have all been asked by yourselves. They've been noted down. So if people are asking questions now, they're not being answered. The opportunity was there a few days ago. Otherwise, this would be pure carnage. So please understand that if you are asking a question here, Moderators will explain that to you. Moderators doing a great job, by the way. Fantastic job. So keep up the good work. It's very appreciated. Right, moving on to 17. Do you believe that Nicola went in the water beyond the bench?
Right. So where I found the target, I believe she went in between the bench and the target, but I can't confirm that she went in at that particular point by the bench. No one will know. There's no evidence to suggest, she could have been running away from somebody. She could have been struggling. I don't know. And I don't think any of us know exactly where she went in. And the area initially wasn't sealed off as a crime scene anyway.
No.
So there's no evidence there to suggest, you've lost it. I mean, that's why you always tape an area off. So I don't want to speculate on that, but where she was found here, a bit further down, which we're going to later, it could have been any part of that river, that first 75 meters.
Yeah, so it would just be pure speculation right now.
Yeah. I don't want to sort of say Peter Faulding said this because there's no evidence to suggest any did. If it was summertime, then you can get the undergrowth, like, the grass can lay flat, and where there's evidence, and shrubbery, we call it ground sign in the trade, where sticks could get broken, and green stick shows a bit like a fracture. It shows that the stick's been snapped off. She could have slid down the bank and grabbed things, but we've got none of that in the winter, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you for that, Peter. Number 18 of 50. Do you believe that Nicola was in the river the whole time?
Yes, I do. Yes, but we'll come on to the bit about how she got to where she was later on. But yes, I do believe she was in the river all the time.
What Peter means about, we'll come on to that later on, is after the 50 questions, Peter's going to do a start to finish, very in depth, taking us from the start to the end of the whole search from Peter and from SGI, meticulously, methodically, and very informatively. So even after all these questions, stick around because you're going to get a full, very in-depth, detailed narrative of the search from Peter. So stick around for that. Okay, just let me go on to the next one. Thank you, everybody in the chat again. Right, okay, 19. Okay, again, a question that's been asked a few times. Now, do you regret talking to the media as much as you did in hindsight?
Of course I do. Yeah. I mean, I just wish, I've been beaten up left, right and centre by people, but and again, talking to police officers lately, talking about this, and of course I do. I mean, I didn't want to be there talking to the media. So my team know that I don't do that, but I was literally surrounded, and what I didn't want to do is offend people, because I know a lot of these reporters over the years, and they're sort of like, and if I didn't have wanted to have been there, then they they need a story, so they'll start to. And I always advise people, we worked on other jobs where I've said, you need to get the story out here right to the media. Give all they're after is, and any media watching this tonight who listen to this in the future will go, yeah, we just want a couple of pictures. We want a couple of pictures of a boat in the water. We want to, how's your sonar work? What does it do? And they want to fill the gap. And then the public, which we all read the papers, want to read. It's just the facts. They just want the facts. And let's get that right. They want the facts. And if we get that right, then the media will then go off to their van and they'll have a cup of tea, they'll download the information, and they come back for the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock news or whatever it may be. That's all they want. They're just doing their job. Otherwise, they will then start guessing things. And if you give them the facts about sonar, give them how it works, give them about a couple of pictures, off they go. They won't bother you anymore.
Well, thank you for being very honest with that, because you answering there saying that, you do regret talking to them as much as you did. I think that's very honest of you. So I think a lot of people appreciate that answer. So thanks for being so honest there, Peter. 20, and then we can get to a little break time because the call of nature will definitely be due. We'll have to take it in turns, Pete.
Yeah, you can go first. I'll have to ad lib. Yeah.
Okay, 20. Do you know if any of the search dogs went near to the target area?
I don't, Luke. I'll be honest. When we were there, there was no search activity going on whatsoever when we were there. So we arrived on the 6th, and one of the reporters came up and he said, "Blimey, it's all suddenly got busy since you were here. We've seen hardly anyone here." So I think by that stage they'd established that probably Nicola will float up somewhere. I saw a couple of search officers, with search officer on their back, but they weren't actually searching. And most of the police officers on site were local beat officers wearing body armor. You can always tell a search officer they're not wearing body armor; they're just got search officer on the back, and they were just walking down the bank chatting because they're more to keep a visual presence really for the police. So I know the police divers and were out in their boats working further away. I know they were, but round where we were, there was no search activity, and I saw no cadaver dogs when we were there.
That's very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. Moving on to 21 of the 25 before we get to the halftime whistle. On the 19th of February, when Nicola was found, would she have been in the same position? And I think what that means is in the position that you saw her in the target. Would you know that?
No, no, I wouldn't know. I can't answer that. I mean, a body can go into rigor mortis. It can remain stiff. It loosens up again, and I can't answer that. I honestly don't know where. I don't know the exact position. If I'm being totally honest here, I've lost touch by this time. I don't know where. All I know is she was found down the lower end on the corner, but I don't know the exact. I've not really followed it too much, to be fair. I've sort of kept away from it. I did my job, and that was it. So she could have been found in any position. I've got no idea.
When I got that question, I kind of felt like that was kind of going to be the answer. But again, giving the opportunity for people to ask these questions, so I thought I'd throw it your way.
Sure.
Can we get some more likes in the chat, please? More gratitude to Peter Faulding for coming on here, being so honest, and doing this live for us. So let's hit that like button, please, everybody. And we'll move on to question 22. Will you be sending the sonar images for third-party analysis?
Yeah, I'm going out to the US with the sonar images now. I alone can see that it's a body. I don't need to go anywhere. I've also given it to my other sonar operator, which I've got one very good one who I trained over the years at work, and he's agreed that it's a body. We don't need anyone else, but we are doing that to get to 2 US experts to verify our find. Now, the thing is about the sonar data, I want to talk about this now while we're talking about it. A sonar image. Now, when the College of Policing, so I sent. Do you mind if I go into this, because this bit really bugs me? And
go into as much as you need to. We've got as long as it takes.
So I attended a police meeting with the College of Policing in London at a hotel on the 5th of. Hang on, let me get this right. 5th September. I've got to keep all these dates in my mind. I've got no notes here. And I attended in a hotel room with a witness, again, a senior ex-officer as of my witness. And all the questions were those sent to me beforehand, and there was nothing about my search at all in the questions. It was all about, why did you speak to the media? Why did you disagree with the coroner's report? Why did you do this? And we thought, that's very strange. So what about the report? So I answered them all, but we also wrote this out. Now, bearing in mind, this has been recorded. They recorded it. So that's good. I was happy with that. I was also asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement 3 times within that meeting, so I could never speak. And I was also asked pre the meeting to sign an NDA, which I refused. I totally refused to sign an NDA because I know that I'd never be able to talk. As I was so passionate about this case, because I've never seen anything like it. And I got to the end of the questions, and it was getting to about, I think it was about 10 to 2, whatever time it started, I can't remember, but it was 10 minutes before the end of the meeting. And I said, I just need to, if you turn to page 7, I said, that's Nicola Bulley laying in the river. and said, "What do you mean, Nicola Bulley?" So I said, "Well, if you turn to that, there's a picture." Now, what I did, I gave them the first image that I found at 10:34 that morning. Okay, so I commenced my search that morning. We'll come on to it again at 10:28. 6 minutes later, at 10:34, I found the target. That was 6 minutes into my search in the area of the bench, and just down from the bench. And then I talked them through it, and I said, "You can't see the shadows here." I thought, we agreed that we weren't going to give them any more images at this stage because I just wanted to see how serious they were about looking at this data. So then I said, "I need to show you the data." She said, "We haven't got time. We've only got the room for 2 hours, so you're going to have to wrap up now." I said, "Well, I really just need to show you this." And okay, so they came over, showed the image. "Oh, that's good, isn't it?" "Yeah." So I said, "You need to come back to me to actually look at this data properly, because without the computer, I need to go through a lot with you." Now, even me, I can look at a picture of a body on a sonar image and go, "Yeah, that's a body." But when you're doing an inquiry, you have to get all the evidence, and you can't do it without looking. So we never heard back. And then I got a letter say an email that we're going to be publishing the report. I thought, hang on a minute, no one's even asked me for the data. And I know I'm going to get criticised anyway. So what about my target? What do you think about that? Yeah. So I then sent a further 4 or 5 images. And the one of Nicola laying there very clearly. Now, I want to say, I showed a police officer, 3 police officers over the last 2-3 weeks. I said, "What does that look like?" And they said, "It looks like a person with their legs bent and sort of laying on the side." I said, "Thank you. That's Nicola Bulley." I showed a paramedic on Monday in Bristol. He said exactly the same. And today, I shared the image with my good friend Deborah Davis, psychic medium. You know, Debbie from the Real Housewives of Cheshire. And she's a very good friend and trustworthy friend. So I sent it to her in confidence, and she burst out crying.
Sorry, Peter. I'm not diving in anything you're saying here, but that is something that a lot of people are asking me about, which I was going to get to. So yeah, please, could you go into that into more detail about sending that to Debbie today, please?
Yeah, I sent the image to my good friend Debbie Davis, who you know from the Real Housewives of Cheshire and psychic medium, very well known person. And Debbie's been a good friend of mine for years. And you know, they come down to her house, and I trust Debbie totally. And I sent her the image, and she was in tears on the phone. And I said, "What, just tell me what it looks like, And she said, "It looks like a person laying on the bottom." And she doesn't even see sonar. She doesn't understand sonar. And from that, and they're the images I sent to the police. But also what I did, if you imagine a crime scene out of Colombo or something like that, and then you get a body laying on the floor and they chalk around it, the shape.
Yeah.
So what I've done for the police, I actually chalked around it with a blue line, and it can clearly see the body laying on the bottom without a doubt. And the beauty of this, I then sent a letter. Now, what I want you to do is read this letter out to you. If I can fire my laptop up, bear with me. I've got my tablet, and I normally have it connected to my laptop.
Do you want to do this now or after the questions, Peter?
I'd like to do it now.
Go for it.
If I can, because I think it's quite important. I just need to open it. I normally use it in normal mode. Bear with me.
I just want to say, Peter, that these images that people already know this, the images that Debbie's seen, I've also seen, and especially when highlighted with the blue pen that you've highlighted, that looks like a female body lying on the riverbed.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to say. I've already said this, and I'll just make it clear again.
Yeah. Hang on, I'm just trying to get my password in. Bear with me. I'm on a tablet rather than the. Excuse me a second, everybody.
It's all right. Excuse Peter with technology. He's cracking on a bit. He's cracking on a bit now.
I deliberately took the tablet. I'll get my wife to pass me the laptop bit up, because I messed it up on the. I disconnected my tablet from the actual computer. I thought I was trying to be smart tonight, but it's backfired on me now.
It's all right. I always have technical glitches.
I know you do. Yeah.
I'm doing all right tonight, though, for once.
It's all right. I'm in a bit of. Let me just click this in. Bear with me. Just find the computer. Bear with me. let's try and find this. Dooba-dooba-doo. Sorry, everybody.
No, don't worry about it. Peter, while you're just finding that, give me 30 seconds to run to the toilet, right? Because I am bursting.
Okay,
guys,
that's fine. Let me
you just enjoy looking at Peter, and I'll be
I've
back.
got no, don't do that.
Pete, just hang on for the
no, I will do. So that's fine. Thanks, Don. I'll have a tea when you're ready. Thank you.
Talk about that Christmas tree behind you.
Well, those of you who have not seen Luke's previous documentary, he spent 3 days with me. We brought his daughter down, and he done a documentary. I've got lots of animals, so I've got alpacas, I've got emus, I've got pigs. They're all pets, by the way. And we got 3 turkeys. I've got a turkey called Gerald, but he's not for Christmas. And he chases my mum around because my mum lives on the farm on a cottage around the corner. And he chases my mum around and my daughter. So yeah, we live with a lot of animals, and yeah, it's the Christmas tree is in just across from the house in another area. So it's a big open fire here, which is great. So I thought this next letter, this is really important for people to hear, because this is a letter I sent to the police pleading with them to look at the data, which is extremely important. I'll just wait for Luke to get back. And I got a copy of this. I'm not going to name the individual I sent it to, because I don't want hate mail and stuff like that, not from yourselves, but there are trolls around who watch this in the future and then start on things. So it is to the College of Policing, and it's to one of the senior people there, and I'll read it out to you. Right. So,
hiya, Pete. I'm back.
Thank you, Carl. So I'm going to read this letter out. So,
what did you call me then?
No, nothing. So if you can imagine, I gave them the initial image of the sonar shadows of the body. Okay, and you can see 2 arms sort of sticking out. Initially, 2 arms, 2 legs. Initially, and then the police then dived the target and said it was nothing. They literally said it was nothing, and I had to go with that and I was baffled why it was nothing, and I thought it was wrong. So we'll come on to how I got later on. So then, when I wasn't invited to the inquest, so I made a statement that afternoon to say she's categorically not in the river. I want to cover this bit off. That was on the police diver diving my target and said it was nothing. I wasn't happy, but it's not my operation, so I can't do anything. So then I went back that afternoon at 4:30 in the afternoon approximately, and it's all time date stamped, to re-sonar the area, which I did, and we got more images. So the target was there. Now, a sonar image cannot be generated by nothing. So if you look at a sonar image, if I stood with my back to the sun and I put my arms up, you'll see 2 arms sticking out, or move my leg like that, you'll see a shadow cast on the ground. Exactly what it does with sonar. But with a sonar, you normally get the shape of the picture of the body, and then the sonar. The first picture was creating shadows alone with like 2 arms like that. Then the later one I went on, I scanned, and then I wanted to go back the following day to re-sonar the area, but the police would not allow us to do that. And we also wanted to search the weir, and we said it's already done in case the target was moving. So we totally refused. At that stage, we left. Leading up to the inquest, I thought that I would be invited to the inquest. Mm-hmm. I thought I would be. I want to clarify this. So then I was actually down in Cornwall at the time, and I started to go through the data, all the files, every single file, Monday, Tuesday, all the files, and every single file. So it records a clip, and I can go back over it and it can enhance it. And then I got for file 22, and I clicked on it, and then I magnified it slightly, and there it was. And I said to my wife, "That's Nicola," and I was absolutely just blown away. And at that stage, I thought, right, I'm going to present this at the inquest, this evidence, to prove that she was in the river. And I measured the target, and I can measure the back. There's a special software, and I can measure the length of the back, which is just under 1 meter. I can measure the legs where they're bent, and I can measure the lower laugh. I can measure the arms. I can measure the shadow. I can measure the height of the target off the ground. I can pinpoint where it is. and I can then magnify and I can change color palettes to enhance and then use raw data. You've got to bear in mind, I've been doing this since 1999, so I'm sort of leading expert in this field. So I do know what I'm looking for, and I do know the difference between a log and a body, and or a handbag and et cetera, et cetera. So that's where we were. So I then got back that basically that there's nothing, and then I wrote to them this letter because I was concerned that the report was going to be published, and they haven't even seen the data on the computer, which no one can tell. So firstly, who was the expert? So if you bear with me, everybody, I'm going to read this out. And this is the one I sent to the police on the 27th of October, 2023. Dear, I'm not going to name the name, I'm writing to you in advance of the imminent release of the report by the National College of Policing, NCP, into the conduct of Lancashire Police's handling of the Nicola Bulley case. I would like to raise a concern directly with you that important and credible evidence which I provided to the police at the scene and as part of the investigation has not been fully scrutinised or followed up. Specifically, this relates to sonar images and live sonar data of a target that I located on the 7th of February 2023 during my search, which I believe to be the body of Nicola Bulley on the bottom of the river. This was deemed negative by the Northwest Underwater Search Unit, which baffled me, as I'm never wrong with my sonar readings. Based on this negative finding, although still baffled, but with trust in the dive team, I made a public statement saying that I did not think she was in the river. The next day, I was refused an opportunity to rescan the same area, and a search of the weir area was also refused. Several weeks later, with subsequent scrutiny of the images and data by myself, I now disagree that that target was negative and believe it was in fact positive. Without the opportunity to present my findings at the inquest, I presented the same evidence to your NCP team during the interview. The team were provided with images of the sonar shadows of the target and also saw briefly live data from our side scan sonar computer. But this had to be cut short as the interview room at the hotel had to be vacated for the next booking. However, based on the gravity of these revelations, I fully expected that further information would be requested from the NCP investigation team, such as measurements, location, latitude and longitude, and viewing of the actual live sonar data, with the opportunity for me to explain my findings further. No requests have been received. Subsequent to the interview, scroll down the page, this evidence, subsequent to the interview, I submitted this evidence to the coroner by recorded delivery, also with no response. At no point have any police agencies ever requested to see the full evidence, which I'm 100% certain that is of Nicola laying on the bottom of the river, approximately 75 metres from the bench. With GPS fluctuation of plus and minus 5 metres plus 1 metre of towfish layback, therefore, this evidence cannot have been properly considered and will leave your report open to obvious criticism. With worldwide interest in this case, unprecedented public scrutiny, and trust in the police at an already all-time low, reporting this finding accurately will be an opportunity to regain back some public confidence. Having worked with many police forces over the last 30 years, I have nothing but the highest regard for the police and the difficult tasks that they do. Underwater search, in particular, is extremely difficult and specialist work. However, I will not let my unblemished reputation be damaged any further by allowing this investigation to inaccurately report my involvement. These very important findings answer two of the key questions outstanding in this case. Where was Nicola, and why was she not found? The answers are now clear. For the most part, Nicola was in the non-tidal part of the river, approximately 75 metres downstream from the bench. She was not found initially by the Northwest Underwater Search Unit by divers or their sonar, and then missed again when they investigated my target. No targets were located during our search. In my vast experience, we have never recovered a body that has floated after drowning. Our data shows that a drowning victim sinks either straight away or drifts a short distance while struggling until they drown. There is no exact science for how long it takes for a body to decompose and then float to the surface. It can be days or weeks depending on a number of factors. But when they do surface, they move with the flow of the river. In this case, over the weir, and probably during the night into the tidal section of the river wire. At this point, I do not know what your conclusions are or what will be published in the report. However, for the avoidance of any doubt, I'm enclosing further sonar images that were gathered at 16:30 hours, 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, the 7th of February, 2023. These images clearly show the body of Nicola laying in a fetal position on the riverbed. For ease, I've outlined the body in blue. Furthermore, the target measures 1.6 meters in total length, the same height as Nicola. The best and clearest views can be seen via my sonar imaging data, which shows the live imaging. I have offered to show this several times, but even so, these attached images are clear enough even for someone with no sonar competence or training to understand. These images and the resulting implications will be disturbing and upsetting for the family and friends of Nicola. It is important for not only the police to see them, but for them to be sensitively shared with the family before your report is published, and I strongly implore you to do this. Consider this. I am keen to work with you to ensure that the report is transparent and accurate, rather than pitching partners against each other very publicly. And so I'm asking you take time to review the evidence I provided. That said, once the report is released, I will be making my own media statement with the information that I provided to you. I have enormous public support for myself and my team, led by many families of victims that I've helped over many years, and my decades of unblemished work speaks for itself. It is my hope that our positions will be unilateral. The truth will be told, and the public opinion, confidence, and trust will begin to be restored. Yours sincerely, Peter Faulding. Now, that letter
Peter,
I sent.
Well said, mate.
Thank you.
Said.
Thank you. So I sent that letter. They then published the report. They said they went to an expert at Cranfield University, and he said, bear with me, he said, which is quite unbelievable, actually.
Just before you read that, can I get a thumbs up in the chat for that letter that Peter's just read, please? Lots of thumbs up there, because that was quite a letter. That a letter.
Though I obviously spent, this has taken a lot of my life up this, and I can tell you now, I will not give up on this. I am determined, firstly, for this family, and I am not going to have my good name tarnished in this country. All the good work that we have done, unblemished career, and I've been stabbed and tried over the last few months, people trying to discredit me. It will not happen. You've picked on the wrong person, because I will take you to the cleaners eventually. Okay. And the truth will come out. So I want to say this. So this is when the target went to the, this is a letter. This is the public report. It's all open. Right. Let me just go back 105. Here we go.
Loads of love in the chat, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So this is the diver. The diver went in. So it said the dive team, this is the report, and you can see it online. The dive team was later contacted by the review team regarding this find, and also confirmed that a dive had taken place on the 7th of February following the sonar imagery presented by Mr. Faulding and SGI. The dive team worked from the GPS coordinates provided by them, bearing in mind that's fluctuation as well. The dive team, by then, along with a marker that they placed on the bank. Now, that marker is just the centre, so it could be in anywhere 7 meters either side. This location was close to the bench where Nicola had left her phone, where you would expect to find her, and some distance from where she was found. The diver who undertook this dive was able to confirm that the dive took place at 13:21 and the find was found to be tree branches underwater. Now, originally we were told it was nothing.
Yeah.
Now it's tree branches. Therefore, cleared as negative. It is relevant also to add that the same area had been previously searched by the Northwest Underwater Search Unit using sonar on the 28th and 31st, sonar equipment and dive methods. This had also proved negative. The diver stated, this is not mine, this is the underwater. I'm actually 100% sure that there was no body in that part of the water at any time. It's not very often I dive in such an unobstructed body of water with such a flat bottom and with good visibility. Now, in the report, they said the diving conditions were very dim. It wasn't clear. It was quite murky when we were there, so it wasn't clear visibility. The diver provided their own record of this dive to the review team, the coordinates of the images that they record exactly of those. Now, why, firstly, did the dive team not say, we've previously found this, and on our sonar, we found it was to be nothing?
Yeah.
So they clearly didn't find anything on their sonar. Now, to supplement this and to provide independent view, the review team contacted a leading government sonar specialist for their opinion. Now, what you've got to be, and this is what I want to make it very clear, leading government sonar specialist, fine. I don't know of anybody personally, but who finds bodies, but there was one years ago, but they've done a bit. So they've never even looked at my computer to actually see the data. So all they've had is a screenshot printed on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So you can't tell. So he said that they said low confidence in the images that were of a human casualty. This was the first expert. Now, the first one was only a sonar shadow. If they'd seen the proper body, they would have gone, that's a body. Even a child could look at it. Mr. Faulding later contacted the review team on the 26th, is what the letter I've just read to you, to provide additional expert and independent opinion. Were assessed by a lecturer at Cranfield University. Now, I don't know any lecturers who look for bodies in water on sonar. The target cannot be positive. Now, bearing in mind, these people have not been named. They're faceless, and I don't know who they are. The target cannot be positively identified as a human body based on the data presented. No, of course you can't, without actually seeing the proper stuff. In my opinion, this target would be classed as a low probability of confidence for human remains. I would recommend the target be inspected by divers. Well, it's a bit late for that. The review concluded that this find was sufficiently investigated. This was not investigated because they've not even seen the data. Now, when I go to the United States, I will show the data. I will bring that back. And I'm just letting everybody know, which should be pleased to know, that this file is going to be sent now to the Home Secretary in the new year and the Prime Minister.
Great news.
And I will not let this one go. Believe me, I will not let this one go. They will receive the whole file, and it will be copied into other senior people as well. So this will get looked at, and we will finally get the truth out there, what's gone on here. Okay, I want to make that very clear. So I'm working on that now, and I'm working with a former senior officer on this. I've got so much public support on this. We can't let this go.
You certainly have. I'm looking at the chat. You certainly have.
So they basically said, it's nothing. I mean, but I want to clarify here. It's nothing. That's what they're saying, but they haven't even looked at the computer. So if I said to Lancashire Police tomorrow, I want to meet you in a room, I want to have the media there, not for TV, by the way, not for TV projection, but witnessed by the media, witnessed by Lancashire Police, Crime Commissioner, Mr. Snowden, the head of the College of Policing. I can assure you they probably wouldn't turn up. Because it would be embarrassing. Because if I show the images, anybody can see that it is without a doubt a body. Okay, so carry on, Luke. Sorry, I needed to get that in now. It's quite important, I think. So that's good.
I think the last thing that you need to do right now with what you just said is apologise. A lot of people needed that. A lot of people wanted to hear that, and he's a very eloquent a very eloquent letter, and well said. Thumbs up on the video. I want to get this to 1,000 thumbs up.
Can I just use the bathroom a second, please? I'll be 2 minutes.
No, you're not allowed. You need to get a nappy on.
Yeah, that's right. Bear with me. Bear with me. Hang
I'll
on.
just right, guys. So yeah, while Peter's not here, thank you everybody. Thank you to the moderators. You're all doing a really, really good job. Look at that Christmas tree. That is class. Yeah. Cheers for the support for the channel, for my friend Peter Faulding, who is a very honest guy. Like I said, I would not be sat here if I thought otherwise. I just want to let people know now, whilst I'm on my own chatting to you guys, how am I going to entertain you? Should I do a little dance? No. So I think Peter did mention that there is a documentary that we made together back in July. It's like I spent 2 or 3 days with Peter Faulding. You can see his family life, his animals. We went to Specialist Group International. I actually met the guys that searched for Nicola Bulley. I've seen some of the sonar equipment myself. They are legit elite professionals. Also, anyone that's not subscribed to this channel yet, well, go and hit that subscribe button. Oh, he's back. Go and hit that subscribe button. I've got much more content coming out. And just before we continue, Peter, I do have memberships on my channel, but what I give for my memberships is more than most channels will give. I'm not just going to give you a shout out. I'm not just going to do a priority reply. We have Member Mondays where I give a lot of time to do fun and games and quizzes and prizes and basically a good time away from the darker stuff, and it's just more fun and games. Go and check out the membership area. So thank you guys for that.
Great.
Peter is back. No nappy needed. Here we go. Right. Question 23.
Week.
Tea-wee. I wish I
was just saying to my wife,
I could just get a tea like that.
I was just saying, do you recognise this plant pot, Luke? It's the one you left down here when you came down.
Hey.
I know. It's the one you left me. There you go. There you go. Thanks. I can't drink out of a square cup, though. It's a bit awkward.
Peter stole my cup.
Yeah, that's right. You left it here. Go on.
Right, so I forgot about that. Right, okay. 23 or 50. Damn. Right, let's get serious again. So, have you been asked to not retrieve a body on a previous case before?
No. And like I said, look, this was Northwest Underwater Search Units area, so it would be quite normal for them to dive a target. That's fair comment. Whenever we work across the southeast, we sort of covered a huge area over the years. We covered Essex, Kent, Surrey, Sussex, Thames Valley, and Hampshire police dive areas for murders, for retrieving evidence from bodies, and I would say averaging 10 drowning victims a year. And in 2016 alone, we had 16 drownings, unfortunately, within 8 weeks in the hot summer. So we do this a lot, and we always recover because the police call us. We work alongside the police, and then we recover the evidence and, hand the evidence, handle the evidence, do everything for them. So we don't, because there is a lack of underwater search units in the UK. I think there's about 10 left now. So there's hardly any left in the UK now.
That should probably, do we need more of them around the country, think?
We need more resources at the end of the day. The police are lacking resources now. That's why crimes aren't getting solved, because there's less and less police officers. There's more strain on that. I got many good friends in the police, and one was round for dinner 2 weeks ago. Very quite senior people, and they're stretched. They're now having to investigate different types of crime, online crime where there was no online crime, child abuse, and this sort of stuff. And everything's sadly on the increase. So they're fighting a losing battle. Really, they haven't got the numbers that they used to have, and they're different departments having to handle more things, and that's from the horse's mouth.
It's a shame, really.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Right, 24, 25. Sorry, well, 24 or 50, but then we'll have a little break. Number 24, was Nick on the sonar images, was Nicola lying towards the riverbank or away from the riverbank?
She was, it was in the, no, away, it was away from the riverbank, out in, it was against a sort of a, there's a sandbank, but facing outwards.
Like out into the river?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that sums that question up quite simply. Okay, 25. Do you know if Nicola's injuries were typical of a drowning victim?
No, I've got no, I can't comment on that. I mean, drowning victims normally, we don't have injuries. Normally, I've never had injuries on a drowning victim. Normally, we retrieve them. You get fluids out the nose and out the mouth, but they're not, unless they've hit things underwater. You wouldn't expect to see injuries on a drowning victim. No, unless they've fallen from a great height, then you could have head injuries. But that's why these things are always sealed off as potential crime scenes. You've got to look.
Yeah.
We had a chap once who put a rucksack full of bricks on his back and handcuffed, tied his hands together with tie wraps and jumped in the river. You don't know if he was initially, was he tied up and put in there, or eventually it was proved he'd done it himself. But it was one of these things, so you never know. And that's why you have to be suspicious of everything until proven differently.
Okay, well that's 25 to 50.
I'm okay to carry on, Luke.
Yeah, well I'm gonna make a cup of coffee, so
you can make a cup of coffee. What do you want?
Hey,
I can talk.
Well, just tell people a bit more about the. Yeah. I tell you what, I've mentioned about. Obviously, we both mentioned about that documentary that we made in July.
Yeah.
But there's also a kind of sub documentary that I made about SGI.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So give me 2 minutes. You talk about that documentary.
Okay.
It's viewable on my channel, and
okay, that's fine.
I'll be back in a jiffy, as they say.
Okay, so I formed SGI in 1995, and we've been there. So we're based in Dorking in Surrey. We've got 6 industrial units. We've got a big fleet of vehicles, and we have a full-time team there, and we've got our own control room, and the team work from the base. They're on call at night. We got our underwater search. We've got all our rope rescue vehicles. So the team do a lot of climbing. We've got a big fleet of boats as well, different size boats, 2 big 10-meter cabbage rigid inflatables, patrol boats. We've got a big lifeboat. We've got a number of other boats as well. We got our own helicopter. So we got all sorts of kit, really, a bit like Thunderbirds, and millions of pounds worth of equipment that we've built up over the years. So we've been involved in so many different cases. Those of you, there's a lot of documentaries made. If you go on and look at the Peter Tobin search, the serial killer, I was the one with my team on that. We actually searched the complete house in Bathgate in Scotland on that for, as it was, Lothian and Borders Police then. So we searched the house up there for Vicky Hamilton and Dinah Nicole, and then down in Southsea. And my good friend Lucy Syburn, the forensic archaeologist, she eventually located both bodies in the gardens in a house in Margate in Kent. I've worked on the April Jones case. I've worked on so many Sarah Benville all around the UK with my team over the years. But again, it's not just underwater search. But I say where we lead on one particular aspect is we have the best available equipment for underwater search. We've got remote operated vehicles. We've got magnetometers. We've got, ground radar for looking through on land, looking for buried bodies under patios and things like that. So it's not just water search. And my team have been diving today. And those who follow us on social media, then I'll be, on Specialist Group International on my page, will be putting the pictures up tomorrow of that diving as well. So we train constantly, so the team are keeping their skills up, all the time, which is really, really important to stay at the sort of sharp end, be the best out there. And we take pride in what we do. We take pride in our equipment, and that's why our vehicles are always bright and shiny. They're clean. They're mainly ex-military people who we employ, ex-firefighters and ex-police. but he's back now, so I can be quiet and I'll let him live.
Shiny, happy vehicles. I've been inside in. They're elite vehicles.
Yeah.
They are good. SGI was quite an experience going to see SGI, actually.
Yeah.
Right, so we're just going to crack on, yeah?
Please do.
I can't believe you're drinking out of my mug.
No.
It's more in it.
Plant pot. Go on, Luke.
It is pretty funny, actually. Right, 26. Okay. How would you have taken Nicola? Let me rephrase that. How would you have taken Nicola's body out of the river if you were able to recover? How would you have done that, protocol-wise?
Well, whenever you recover a body, you firstly brief the police that you've located a body. Then you always, without fail, put a crime scene tent up. So we carry, we got 2 or 3 of them, but we always put a special tent up, which is a framed tent right next to the water source. Because what happens when a body's recovered, and I'll go into that bit in a minute, you put them out of the way of any. You firstly clear the media out the way. You cone off you keep everyone away before the body's even recovered, and then it goes into a sterile area where the crime scene CSI can then come in to do their job to check the body, that make sure there's no nothing in their pockets, and search them, and also check for injuries. It's really, really important. So the way a body's recovered now, if it's a murder victim, it's done obviously totally different. Now, we know if it's a drowning because we get witness drownings, a missing teenager in a river. We know they've drowned. So it's a matter of just recovering a body to the side. But we've got a special net, which is like a forensic net, very fine mesh. So
Okay.
what we do is then wrap the body. If it depends where it is, but normally we've got special body bags as well, mesh corners. So if it's underwater, you put the body in the bag. And as the body comes out, then the actual water can run out through the mesh, so you're not losing any evidence. We've also got a body recovery stretcher made of mesh, so that it's important to keep the evidence. Then it will go into a stretcher if it was down a bank, a hard stretcher, and then the body would then be respectfully lifted into the tent. And then it would normally be left for the crime scene investigator, the CSI, to come along and unzip the bag and then go through their process. Sometimes we then might roll the body over for them to check for marks, because obviously that's clean. If it's suspicious, they need to check marks. If there's just one guy witnessed it or whoever, then the body's checked for different marks and so on. And then if it was a murder, then the whole area would be metal detected as well. We'd use an underwater metal detector to make sure there's no hammers been thrown in or knives. And if you look at the not Colin Chapman, there's a couple of documentaries, Killer at the Crime Scene, where I found the knife at the Walton murders. I forget his name now, I can't remember, but there's a lot of documentaries made where we recovering evidence. Worth a watch if you're into this sort of stuff. So it has to be done methodically. You can't just steam in there. You can't just put a body without a bag. It must be bagged, because you're going to lose the evidence, and it's not nice. You don't want bodies being seen by people, because now with drones, it's a horrible thing even for us, for us to have to deal with, and it's not pleasant. So it's very tough, and you just need to think of the family and think of that there's someone's loved one here. And that's why it's so important to get a body out the water early, because if they're left then unfortunately they decompose and they're not in a good state when they come out.
Fair enough, Peter. Thank you for clearing that up. Next question. If you trusted the search divers when you were told that your target was negative, why did you go back to check again?
Because that's the sort of person I am. I just wanted to go back and just search that area to see if it had moved, because what my concern was that maybe they've gone negative and maybe the target's moved down the river, because like I said before, it could be a floating target. So once a body decomposes, it can float off. Although the current was extremely slow, it could still be disturbed. Even the towfish could disturb it. We disturbed a chap once who drowned in Cambridgeshire in a lake in Ely. It was maybe 15 years ago. and he went down in the weed, and we disturbed him with the toe fish of the. We couldn't search with the sonar, but where we initially got it caught up in the weed, we moved him around a bit. So Nicola could have been disturbed by the toe fish activity, and technically she could have moved. So that's why we went back.
Okay. On the sonar images, to your knowledge, in your opinion, was Nicola's coat still on?
I can't tell.
Can't tell.
I can't tell. I can't see clothing on a sonar. You can't see clothing on it. You can just see the shape, but you can clearly see the shape. And all the other victims we've got with clothes on, you can't see their clothes. You can't see facial features. But you can see clearly a head. You can see the arms. You can see all sorts, but you can't see what I'm trying to say is you can't see the.
You can see the outline of a body.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, without a doubt, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you can measure it.
I can vouch for that.
Yes, you can.
Right, 29. Have you made any mistakes from this that you think that you could learn from?
Only talking to the media, I suppose. I've not made any mistakes that I know of on this job. My only regret was talking to the media. My search was, and my team's search was 100%. We done what we do, what it says on the tin. We went there, we located, and that's what we do, and that's what we're good at.
Yeah, absolutely. So just the media, talking to the media then.
Yeah.
Which maybe so.
And I'll be fair, Luke. I'll hold my hands up to that. I become the face of the search. I shouldn't have been, because the police should have had control of it. And like I said, if one person just said, rather than hammer me, because I thought I'm actually someone, quite a few people have said you are being set up to become the scapegoat here, and it's very clear that's what happened. Because at any stage, the senior investigating officer, any police officer could have said to me, Peter, please stop talking to the media. On day one, I'm not going to bend the rules. I made that clear earlier. If you're on a police operation, you don't go against what they tell you. You obey the rules. I'm not one to break the rules, and these sort of you do what they say. That's it. But no one actually, excuse me, I've got an itchy eye. No one actually told me that. No one mentioned it to me. And when they say they had to, what made me laugh, they said they had a gold command group meeting about my behaviour with the media, and then they come down and had a chat with me.
What's the gold meeting?
It's all the senior people, and I'm thinking, why does it take a whole senior command team? And I took friends who are ex-chief fire officers and stuff. They laughed. It's like you wouldn't have a gold command meeting about me. You would just say, Peter, you just pick the phone up. Can we have a quick chat? Please don't do that. And I go, thanks. Why would you possibly have a whole command group meeting, make all the notes minuted, just to control one little man? It's laughable, really. So. You can see what was happening anyway.
Well, yeah, one can read between the lines.
This is David and Goliath, by the way. That's what this is all about. It's David and Goliath, and I'm fighting everybody. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Right now, if you get your findings regards to the sonar images clarified by independent specialists,
yes,
can this be used to review the case?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, if them images are confirmed, which I know they will be, this is going to blow the whole inquiry, the review team completely out the water, and there's going to be lots of questions to answer here, and they know that. So, and heads will roll without a doubt. I would not, if I was in charge of this review, I would have had me in as the expert to say, Peter, because I felt as if I was one of the enemy. Because normally they would say, Peter, come in, tell us all about this. Tell us about your sonar. Tell us how it works. Is yours better than the police's? All your experience. I need to know for my review before we go to print, and be honest and go, do you know what? We've messed up here. And then what the public would do, as I said in my letter, they would appreciate everyone being honest and just saying, Mistake. We all make mistakes. We all know that. I made the mistake of talking to the media. I know that, but we just need to be honest to say we made mistakes, and the public will go, at least they've admitted it, okay? And then we can all move forward, and then we can make things better for future operations, so loved ones don't get left laying in rivers. That's as clear as that. Something has gone badly wrong here.
Yeah. Thank you again to the moderators, doing a great job. Thank you to the chat. Can we get thumbs up on the video? I want to get to 1,000 thumbs up before this is all over. Question 31. Is it unusual? Sorry, start again. Is it usual to have dried blood on a body if she'd been in the river the whole time? Do you know much about this?
I can't comment on that. I mean, that's not my area of expertise. I mean, dried blood, I mean, we find that most of the time, because most of the people we're dealing with are drowning victims, let's be honest. So they are, you'll get blood out of the nose where the fluids come out.
Right.
And like missing divers, when we had 2 missing divers at the National Dive Centre, they had blood in the mask where the pressures pushed all the fluids out. But I can't comment on that. It's not my area of expertise. We recover. Excuse me. If Nicola was out, if she was out of the river in the reeds, of course she could potentially have dried blood, because any fluid would dry a bit like water. Depends on the weather. I can't comment again. But if you're left outside, then you can have dried blood on you. But I really don't know where she was found, how she was found. I really don't know, and I wouldn't want to comment on that.
Fair enough, Peter. Question 32. Did you, I don't know the specifics of this question, but you probably will. Did you contact the coroner's office?
No, I'm not going to bully my way into the coroner's inquiry. I was waiting to be potentially invited, because obviously I've given evidence a lot of coroner's courts, so on various cases. So I was hoping that I would get invited. I had my evidence prepared. I'd say I'm not prepared, preparing my evidence, my files, which I would have given, and I would have, but I never had that chance to do that. No.
Okay.
Sadly.
Okay. Did you take any dogs there yourself?
No, we don't have dogs. No, we do not have dogs. No. That's not our area of expertise. Dogs. I know plenty of people who do dogs, but it's not us. I have dogs. I have my own dogs, but they're not.
I know your dogs. Top dogs.
Yeah.
Just want to say, there's a couple of. I'm just briefly now and again. I'm checking comments, and a couple of people are saying that some comments are being removed. The only reason why a comment will be removed is if you go and look into the description of the video.
Yeah.
There is things that won't be tolerated. That is swearing. That is being abusive. That is accusing. That is basically not very nice behaviour. Insults, all that kind of stuff. So I can only assume why those kind of comments are being removed. At the end of the day, there's 50 questions here that are being asked, which the public, you guys, have asked me to ask. The live is available to go and see these questions being asked. So we're doing our very best here. I just want to make that clear. And again, thank you to everyone who is commenting well, and to the moderators. Right. Peter, what outcome do you want from all of this?
Just want the truth to be told, really. I just want. I've had enough of constant. I got struck off the National Crime Agency database. I mean, it was very odd, because I got a letter to be suspended by them initially, and that happened to find its way to the Times newspaper on the same day that the Lancashire Police handed themselves over to the IOPC for a review while they released the data. It was very well timed, and then that took the emphasis off of them, and it all was aimed at me. Expert struck off. That was the headline by the Times, and every other paper followed it. So it was pretty sad for me, considering all the good work I'd done. And the guy who wrote me the letter years ago gave me a certificate for all the good work that I'd done for the Serious Organised Crime Agency, as it was then. It was used to be SOCA. Before that, it was the MPIA, and before that, the National Operations Faculty, and I go back many years with these people, you know, back to about 19. The guys in there, when you won't even know, you know, I've been working in search since sort of 1999, and also lecturing at the National Search Centre. I've been out to the FBI, the United States Secret Service. I've been all over. I'm highly regarded. And then it was a very sad day that you get struck off for no reason at all.
Yeah,
nothing. So there's a couple of personalities who I'm coming after anyway, but I will prove this. And yeah,
you've given speeches at the White House, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
You've actually, you've not been sat in the crowd. Well, you've given the speech.
My mum's picture on the wall is of me at the White House giving a speech. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You're not. I was a guest. Nobody.
Guest of the Secret Service. Yeah, and I've got the proof of it. And it's so interesting, Luke, that you say this over the last few months. You know, as I got a regular troll, he uses different names on Twitter and stuff, and he tries to discredit me. He tries to say the guy's not experienced, it's quite comical, really. And I just right-click block, and I don't rise to these people. We know he is, because I've had an IT specialist working on it, an ex-police IT man who's tracking everything for me, and it's just, you know, I don't mind criticism. I can take that. But for somebody to try and discredit my work and my team's work is not nice. You know, if you've always done what you've done is good for this country, and then to be struck off, and then that to be leaked, and then I just felt like the enemy. I feel like the enemy to Lancashire Police, and this is really sad because all the police officers I know, they can't believe they said you're just in the gun sights of Lancashire Police. They've got it in for you, and they just want to destroy you. And I'd like to know the Chief Constable's view on this, because I will be writing to them as we get into the new year. But what have I done to them? You know, why didn't they just say, Peter, let's have a chat? No one's contacted me. No one's even asked for what amazes me, we left that scene and they didn't even ask us for our search report. You know, it was quite shocking. No evidence, no nothing. We were just glad we're gone. And the only reason they had us up there because they wanted to keep the public happy. Yeah. Although we had all the expertise, they should have just open arms come in and said, Peter, what can you bring? Let's sit down. Let's brief the Gold Command Group. Let us know what you've got. Update us every day. Don't talk to the media. We want you to do this. We want you to sweep this area. You got expertise in land search. We want you to put your brain to this. You might come up with some goods for us. You don't know. Let's work together. But you don't pitch against partners that you're meant to work with. It's just unheard of. I've never been treated, you know, I have greatest respect for the police, and they are, for me, the people I work with over the years. They've never done this to me, and this is quite sad, really. And now I'm sort of the enemy to them. Horrible.
Yeah, you might be the enemy to a few, but you're not to the majority. Thank you to Vicky for the super chat, by the way. I wasn't able to read it, but thank you for it. I do see that you have given a super chat. Yeah, Peter. Yeah, like I said, you're the enemy to a few, but the majority, critically think, and you know, 99% positive is better than 1% negative.
Yeah.
35. Has every previous target found on your sonar always been correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I want to make this very clear. You can have a body laying on its side, and the body could be. If you imagine me putting my arms out like this with the sun behind me, you'll see arms on the shadow. If I stand with my arms down by my side or crouch down, you'll only see a bump, or you'll see, and I know that's a target. So, but every target we identify at work, and Nathan, one of my operators, we ping them. We ping them all the time. But sometimes you can get a target that might not look like a body, because clearly this one does, but it could be laying in an awkward position where the shadow's not hit it properly. So you could get like a straight image. Yeah. You still put the diver in. This is different. This one has got the legs, the arms, and everything else. But you can measure the target, and you go, well, that target's only 0.7 of a meter, and the person was 1.8 meters long. So definitely not the target we're looking for. So, you know, this is, we can see footprints on the riverbed. It's that good. We can see where previous searches have been. You know, it's that good equipment. Yes, £53,000. That's when we bought it, and when I bought the initial one in 1999, that was £33,000. You know, I've still got the old one. You know, we got 3 sonar systems. You know,
seeing them heavy pieces of kit as well, the quality pieces.
Very heavy, yeah, they're good. They really are top notch. You know, they do what they say, and it is really specialist kit. But it's vital for finding people in rivers. I mean, what I've got to say is, around the UK, when you see, if you go to somewhere like Gloucestershire and places like this, you say police are searching the river. The police are not searching the river. It's lowland rescue teams who I put my thumbs up to. They're a great bunch. Hearts, cave rescue, mountain, all volunteers, don't get paid, go out in all weathers searching for people on behalf of the police and don't get paid by the police. Okay,
right.
These are the people who, big thumbs up to these people, because these are look them up, Lowland Rescue. They are the guys and girls who train. They wear uniform and they're out looking for like dementia patients at 3 a.m. and stuff who go missing, you know, sadly. And when they search the rivers, they might be out doing a river search, but they're being boats on the surface. They can't go subsurface, but they want, and some of them have got sonar devices as well. So they're really good people. But it's not the police searching in areas where, and obviously that's why a lot of bodies get left laying in rivers, because they haven't got divers. So they wait, and then 6 days later, you see police recover body 8 days later. What it is, it's floated up, and it's been washed up on a bank, and the police have gone and recovered it, or the firefighters have. And also, I will say, it's not just the police; it'll be the firefighters also searching the rivers.
Yeah.
So for the first few hours, the firefighters will be out searching, because they're there to save life if it's still alive. And then it will get handed over, and then the firefighters will go away, and then it'll be Lowland Rescue as well, who will continue the search normally for a while, as long as they can. So yeah. People don't realise this. Good night.
Just want to thank Emily for the super chat. Thank you for being very going into detail with all the answers. This will take as long as it takes, because it's very important you get everything out, I think. Now I've got a question here, but I don't know if it relates now, because
just saying good night to my daughter a minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
A question here that I got was, have you got evidence of letters sent to the coroner? Is that what you read before?
No. Absolutely. I've got letters. Okay. We sent a letter to the coroner. We sent it. The best thing is we sent it recorded delivery.
All right.
So we sent it recorded delivery, and we never got a reply. Sad. Again, we've as you heard from the previous letter that I read out, I've been persistent in this. It's not something I've just made up. I've been so persistent in trying to make this happen and try and work with the authorities, but they've all just blanked me.
They've all blanked you?
Yeah.
Thank you to Jane and to Lou for super chats. Always appreciated.
Can I just let my dog out? Luke, I'll just let my dog out. Hang on, he wants to go back to everybody. Bear with me.
Call the nature for the dog. Yeah, so, thank you, Peter and Luke. Hope you are successful in claiming your name, Peter. Please have been disgraceful throughout this case. That's from Jane Wills Art. Thank you for the super chat. 1,600 people in here. Could we get to 1,000 likes on the video? Okay, that's the super chat. Thank yous. Okay, I've got a question here. I mean, I don't think you need to answer too long, because it doesn't really relate that much to this whole case. But someone's asked, where did this all start for you?
Where did it start?
Yeah, your career. But should we do that later on?
Yeah, sure.
Because it's not that relevant to this.
Okay.
But we can, when you do your timeline, we can start with where you came from. So I think everyone will understand that. Right. Okay. Right, 38. Why weren't your sonar images looked at the coroner's inquest?
Well, they were never asked for. I mean, I was going to present them at the coroner's inquest, but no one ever asked me. Excuse me. So I would have brought them up, but it would have obviously changed the whole inquest if I'd shown that data. Now, interestingly enough, PC Thackeray, one of the dive unit, they done you can Google it. It says PC Thackeray, and it's Nicola Bulley inquest video, and he done an interesting video. So he said that she would have fell in the river. No, but at the bottom of the river, you've got to look. There's about a foot of water. It goes onto rocks, and even on the day, it would have been only 2 foot. It's a big rock shelf, and I got pictures of it, which I again sent to the police inquiry. And the river was very slow moving. He said she would have fallen in. We discussed this before. And he was floating down the river in a dry suit, paddling himself along, one-dimensional, because it was only being filmed from a helmet cam, from a GoPro, rather than from the riverbank. And he's paddling himself along, and he said, we searched here, and he searched there, and he said, we searched the bench area, then a subsequent day we searched there, and I think we searched down there. Now, not one mention in this video for the inquest that I found, and my team found a target right up just the other side of that island, and I dived a target identified by SGI. No mention of it. Why would you possibly do that? Why would you not mention that target? You wouldn't. Now, interestingly enough, and this is another really interesting fact for people to understand, 2 weeks, now bearing in mind, I know a lot of people in the media, my phone was red hot. 2 weeks before the College of Policing report out, there was a closed press conference, a confidential press conference with a media briefing to brief them. They briefed the media on a target that we found in the river. Why would you do this? And told them that, just to let you know, that Peter Faulding's target, they showed him a couple of images of shadows, definitely not the body, and said it was proved to be nothing. Why would you brief the media before the report come out? Because they were worried.
Okay.
They were worried. Why would you brief the media 2 weeks before the main report come out, just to make them aware before it all starts going into the media? And that was it. So it's just lots of little interesting snippets here. No mention of at the inquest about a possible target. No mention of our search. Nothing. It was completely nothing.
Very interesting. Thank you to Anna for the super chat donation there. Moving on, how do you feel now, and will you help other forces going forward?
Yeah, we will do. I mean, I think I've got to clear my name first. I think we've got to do that. We've got to get this point out. We'll always be there to help families. We always have done. I mean, one of the classics was, if the people want to Google Ellis Downs, Ellis Downs, Thames Valley Police. I mean, they scrapped their dive unit 2 or 3 years earlier by the Police and Crime Commissioner, scrapped it, not the force. Sussex Police got rid of their dive unit, and basically the South East had no dive units to cover at all. They'd bring the Met in occasionally, who cover London, and unfortunately, and I know Darren and Emma will probably watch this, the parents, and Darren sends me a message every year and say, I can't ever thank you enough for recovering, Ellis. It's such a sad case. We went to his funeral, and he was found. He went swimming with his pals in the river, like all teenagers do, and he drowned.
Yeah.
All the emergency services turned up, police, fire, everybody, no divers, had sonar going up and down, environment, everybody, marine units there with special sonar, they called it. Couldn't find him. Got to day 3, and it started hitting the papers, and my wife said to me, Peter, you should go and offer your help because you'll find him. And I said, we can't just barge your way in. So we rang the force and said, can we help? And he said, yes, great. So we got halfway there, and I got a phone call from the search advisor saying, turn around, go back. We don't want you here. And I thought, I said,
Really?
well, sorry, I'm not having that. I'm just going to carry on. So we'd spoke to the family as well, and they told them they were coming. So he said, you meet me outside. I want to see your superintendent. This was a PC search advisor. And I said, he said, you meet me in a car park outside town in Abingdon. So I did. And he said, right, all turn around, go home. And I said, no, we're not doing that. He said, I can't have amateurs diving. I said, amateurs? I said, we are. And he said, I'm an ex-police diver. And he said, people like you took my job. I said, no. Your dive unit was closed. We don't even do your diving for you. And he said, well, you're not going to be diving. And I said, well, I'm going to go down and see the family. He said, you go down there, I'll arrest you. I'll have you arrested. So I just told him to go forth and multiply. I had a suit and tie on at the time. My team were there on all the vans, and I drove down to the scene. And as I walked towards the gate where the family were down by the river, police officer put his arm out. He said, "You go any further, Mr. Faulding, I'll arrest you." I said, "Well, please do. Why can't I go in?" He said, "It's a crime scene." And again, exactly the same again. "Show me a crime scene log, officer." And I said, "You haven't got one, have you?" He said, "No." I said, "Do yourself a favour, just step aside or you're going to be in big trouble." And he said, "I really apologise. I was just giving orders." And he was fine. He shook my hand and I walked in. And I went down to the river that night. The police still wouldn't let us dive. He got turned to a critical incident about 8 o'clock that night. The family surrounded the car in a friendly way, not in threatening. They said Darren was pleading, crying that my son's in the river, let these guys dive. We did, and we recovered him 40 minutes later. He'd been missed. He'd been totally missed. They couldn't find him. And it's exactly the same story again when the same with Damien Tudge. The river was searched 12 times. They couldn't find him. We found him in 10 minutes. But I want to make it very clear. We then went on to become the official dive team for Thames Valley. So mistakes were made. It wasn't Thames Valley Police who messed up. It was a couple of people who had ego problems, who didn't like us because it's ex-divers. And we are not liked by a lot of the police dive community. They don't want us because we're a private company. We do a good job. So they've tried to keep us out of the game for a long time. And I get bad mouthed quite a lot by people within that community. Not all of them, but there's a few. And the thing is, what they don't realise, I'm older than them. They haven't been around long enough to sort of talk me experience, you know. And we have better equipment. And they don't like it. So that's it. It's an ego problem. I want to make that very clear. It's not about police officers in general. This is about the 2% of idiots who are just there to try and they don't want you around. That's what happened with Ellis Downs' case, sadly. But then we went on, and the same with Damien Tudge. He just couldn't be found, and they brought me in to research. And I put a search strategy together. And I found him within 10 minutes in the river in his car. Still, after 18 months, we recovered him. So lots of these cases where evidence we've come in and found, like the Lanharan mine shaft, 750 feet down in a flooded mine, I found a shotgun cartridge. It could never be found. So it's all things like this, you know. And so we got vast experience in this field, and there's people in there who don't like what we do. And you'll see the trolls, you know, trolling, as you know, the trolls will go, "This guy's talking rubbish." Well, if you got a problem, come and tell me. Come, you know where my office is. Come and tell me to my face, rather than be spineless and do it with a blank face. Because I'm sure my team of ex-military guys would love to meet you.
Bad man, Peter.
Yeah, no, not that. It's not a threat. It's basically if you've got a problem, come and tell us to our face. Don't do it behind a keyboard. It's only cowards do that.
Yeah, trolls make me stronger.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Trolls make me stronger. So I want to make that clear. Trolls make me a lot stronger, not weaker.
Whiskey.
I just want to say thank you to Hezibar.
Do you know what? I've just asked Jill. I've just asked her to grab me a small whiskey and water. It's getting to that time of night, isn't it? So I need a whiskey and water.
I'm going to have a bit of red after this.
It's going to be a long night.
Say thank you to Hezibar. I hope I've got that right. Hezibar Pink for Super Chat, and to Civil. I think it's Civil for their Super Chat. Much appreciated. I just wanted to get that out there. I can't read them, but I can acknowledge them. Right, okay. Is your whiskey coming?
It will be in a minute. Yeah.
Can the moderators please just let people know that are asking questions here, like why I'm unable to answer other questions, please? I've said this a few times. I did a live the other day to get the 50 questions. Otherwise, it's just going to go crazy in here. Please, if you read the description of the video, I have made that clear. And moderators, please, could you just let that be known? You know, we are doing our best.
Anyway, just like to say cheers, everybody. Look, I've even got the engraved SGI glass here. So cheers.
Cheers, I've got water.
Yes, first one I've had for the night anyway, so that's not bad. It is 10 o'clock, well, nearly 10. So,
hold on 1 second. Right, okay, no, where are we then? Right, 40. Right. Were you concerned about the findings from the inquest?
Look, I can't comment on now Nicola died, and I never will. That's not my job. The problem I have with the inquest is not allowing me to present my evidence. Obviously, and the PC Thackeray video where he said Nicola would have floated down the river and gone over the weir on day one. Impossible. Absolutely impossible, and that can be tested at any time. A drowning victim, she would have gone straight to the bottom, or she may have struggled for a few meters, while swimming, she's fallen in, she's struggling, and you may go down the river a bit, but then you will go to once you take your gasps, you go to the bottom, and that's fact. Internationally known fact. Yeah.
41. How could you tell from the sonar images that the target was female?
Oh, well, it's not as I'm not going to be as brazen as that and say I can tell if someone's a female or a male. She's quite, as you look at the back, it's very curvy on the bottom area and stuff like that. I'm not going to say I can tell a male or a female on a sonar image, but with this one you can see, you see more curvature to it. But I'm not going to go and say I can tell a female on a male, like facial. You can't tell that. That's I couldn't, unless we're looking for another body in the river, something else, obviously. But I'm not going to be that clever and say I can identify a female in the water with sonar.
Well, it would be quite the coincidence, wouldn't it?
No, there wouldn't be another body there. I mean, we know that. No. Let's be clear on that.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you would know the answer to this, but again, I'm asking the questions that people have asked. Did the condition of the body? I'm going to rephrase that. No, I've got that right. Sorry. Did the condition of the body look how it should for the amount of time that it was in the river? I don't know if you know that.
I really don't want to go into conditions of bodies in water because this is a family. This is about a family, and I don't want to go down that route. And I know nothing about the body recovery, and I really don't want to get into it's not fair. It's not nice to talk about. I'll talk about the search, but I don't really want to talk about all the fine detail and stuff like that. It's not nice seeing dead people. It's not a nice job. So I really don't want to go down that route. So I can't comment on conditions. I can, but I'm not going to. I don't know anything about conditions in this particular case, and I'd be wrong to say that.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough answer, Peter. 43. Were you angry when you weren't allowed to dive the target that you located?
Angry? Well, angry. I suppose not. Angry is probably the wrong word. Well, I wish that the police had identified the target that we gave them. I wouldn't say angry because obviously they're good divers. Police divers are highly trained divers. It's an 8-week course to become a police diver. It's a tough course. So I'm not going to knock the police divers here. Something's gone wrong on this case, clearly. But again, what I will say here, and this is what I stressed to the College of Policing in my letter, underwater search, and it's very easy sitting in a chair at night with a glass of whiskey and talking about underwater. If you imagine yourself being dumped into a tank of black water, you see these things done in the jungle and you think they're bad. Put yourself in a full face underwater in a black environment. You cannot see anything at all. Often murky black water looking for a body. It's not an easy job. So I'm going to give a bit of credit here to police divers. It's not an easy job to do. And even in the college report, most bodies are found by people floating to the surface. Yeah. So I'm not going to police bash. I'm not going to knock the police dive team because they're highly trained divers. It's be unfair to do that. It is a particularly difficult job. We just have better, and I can tell you now, we do have better sonar equipment without a doubt, and that's been confirmed. Whatever they say, we have far superior, and it's not just about the sonar equipment, it's the experience. I've been doing sonar operations since 1999. I was the first ever to use it forensically, and that can be backed up by Professor Mark Harrison, MBE, who went out to work for the Australian Federal Police after he left here. Highly regarded man in search. He worked on the the Prior to Lose job, and all the big searches in the UK. Mark used to bring me in as a specialist to do sonar operation. Alison McGarrigle, all them, he would bring me in. Okay, so underwater search is extremely difficult and extremely harrowing work when you're literally putting your arm on someone's shoulder underwater in the darkness. You imagine finding a dead body in a dark room on the floor, but you're underwater. It's not nice. So I want to make that very clear. It's not an easy job.
There's not many people that would like to do it.
No.
How many experts are you going to be asking to get analysis regards to your sonar images?
I'm going to get 2, possibly 3, but I know as soon as they see the images, they'll be hands down. I mean, I could show if I took all the audience tonight, I'm not going to do it, but if I showed them all an image, I could guarantee that 98% of them would say, I can see the outline of the body. That's how confident I am.
Well, you can't say it any more confidently than that, Peter.
No.
So we are now getting down to the final 5 questions. I've done 51 by accident, so there's an extra one in here. Not a bad thing. Right, I don't know about this, but someone's asked it. Do you know anything about a search that was done after dark?
No.
Do you know?
No, I mean, look, the thing is, let me make it clear here. There's been a lot of people online speculating about police doing covert searches at night time. Look, it's quite normal to do searches at night time. A couple of years ago, we had a man who fell over the back of a fishing boat when his son was fishing with him and he drowned. We got called in at 1 in the morning, probably 11 at night till 1 in the morning. We eventually recovered his body. So that we were working through, in the night. It's common for us to work in the night. Diving in rivers is quite common. We dive in the dark. We don't always use torches either. We'll just feel around because once you're in a black environment, often a torch isn't much use. So you're literally following a line and just sweeping along with your arm until you touch the person. On a jack stay, you're going up and on a grid, sir. So no, it's quite normal. I mean, they got to throw all the resources, and I'm saying they're probably kicking me, but I'm trying to give them a bit of credit here. And say, it's a tough job. And the firefighters do a wonderful job. I mean, the firefighters are all out all night. Greatest respect for the emergency services, paramedics, police, firemen. They're all brilliant. I'm not knocking the cops. I'm not knocking anyone. I work with these people and they're great people. But like I said, in any walk of life, as I said, I wrote about, there's the 2% club, as I call them. In any job, what you do, there's 2% of idiots,
Yeah,
and that's across the board.
I've said in the description of the video and at the start, like this is not a cop bash.
Absolutely,
no. And if people want to do that, then do it somewhere else because that's not what this is about. This is about you getting your story across and answering questions. My
preferred route for all of this would be for the Chief Constable of Lancashire to personally invite me up to say, Peter, it's all gone badly wrong here. Look, let's come and have a coffee. Let's all sit round and have a chat. Show us your images. Let's make it a friendly meeting. Let's all go up and get round the table and just have a seat. And let's hear your point of view. But no one's done that. So I feel like the enemy. And it's a bit like, you just don't want to work like that. It's a bit like if you imagine yourself being pulled over by a police officer and he gets out there, "Oi, you, out the car." Whoa, hang on, you're straight up, aren't you? But if someone says, "Excuse me, sir, would you mind stepping out the car? I just would like to search your boot or whatever," you go, "Yeah, sure, no problem at all. I've got no issues with that."
Yeah.
But it's how you approach people. And we've always, even when the years ago digging protesters out, you always approach them in a nice manner. You smile, because if you smile and you're friendly, you get a far better. It's like a traffic warden slapping a ticket on. If you get a double yellow line, then it's your own problem. But if they're friendly about it, you can actually go, "Yeah, fair cop, you got me." Just be nice. Just be nice to people.
That's
too much.
Good way, it's a good way to live your life, isn't it? Being nice to people.
And I find that with animals, that's why animals relax me, because you can trust animals,
totally.
and they make you happy. So there you go.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's a fair point. Right. Do you know? I don't know if you know the answer, but again, this is why we ask the questions. Do you know how many divers went in to search the target that you gave?
So let me explain. Under health and safety, so we're commercial divers, okay? And when you dive, you only have one diver in the water. It's against the rules to have two in there. So you have one diver, and you have a diver on the bank as what they call a standby diver. So the standby will have his or her fins on. We got a lady diver. You will have all your kit on, your hood on, apart from your mask, okay? And if the diver gets tangled up underwater, the standby will, that they call crash the standby. The diver will follow the line down and come and assist you underwater. So the diver who dived the target, always, if you recover a body, you are on your own. You are down there on your own. There's no one with you. And that's what I'm saying. Underwater search, and credit to the police diver, it's a very difficult job. It's not nice. You are on your own with a dead person in the water, in the dark.
That's pretty heavy, that.
Yeah, it is. Okay, it is.
So it's one diver that went in then.
One diver, yeah.
Okay.
Always.
Right, we're getting down to the final 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5. How far will you take your findings until they are proven to be right?
Well, I've already told you we are writing to the Home Secretary with the evidence in the new year, not this side of Christmas. There's too much going on at the moment. I mean, this has consumed my life for months, and it's driven me mad the way I've been treated.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do is do a job, and I've been battered, I've been trashed, I've been discredited for no reason, for a guy who's just done good for this country. Never get a thank you.
It's totally backfired.
I don't want to thank you. All I want is, I just want truth for the family, really. And I want people to admit their wrongs. Simple. Like I would. If that was me and SGI got it wrong, then I go, hands up. I'm sorry, everybody. And people respect that. But don't cover the truth up. Don't cover up that you've thoroughly looked at the images when you haven't. I mean, I think the Home Secretary would be interested in this, to find out that his review team have not reviewed the data properly. And then I was talking to the police officer yesterday, ex-police officer, senior police officer yesterday, and he said, this is unbelievable. You've got to bring this out. This is not right, because it's tarring all the police around the UK as shoddy. And they're not. They're not shoddy.
Most of them do a very professional job.
Police officers go to work. They take some real flack. I wouldn't want to do it. No. Bottles thrown at and punched in the face on a Friday night. And they all getting tarnished with the same brush all the time by leaders who are getting it wrong. We need some good leaders. We need leaders. I lead my team at work, and I will go with them on a job. I will lead from the front. That's why I was in the water that day. On the sonar, it was freezing cold, and we were working to do our job. Lead from the front, be there on the scene, go and meet the people, drink coffee with them, make them coffee. And it's really important for team bonding. People need to work as a team. And a lot of jobs they go on, you never see half the time senior people coming down. It's sad, really, because they want a bit of support. The troops on the ground, the guys and the girls, want some support sometimes,
Yeah. Okay, so this one has been asked by a few people in various different kind of ways. Slightly loaded, but I'm sure you'll understand. So, in hindsight, do you wish that you'd worded things differently when you stated? This is after the 19th of February, by the way. Okay.
Oh, right. Okay.
Let me finish the question, right? So, in hindsight, do you wish you worded things differently when you stated you had since reviewed the sonar and Nicola was not there, to later say, upon review of the same data, that she was there?
Okay. A good question. So let me think. Let me explain. Right. There's two parts to this river. There's the non-tidal section above the weir. That's where the bench was. Non-tidal with, and those who didn't join me earlier, so you got when you go to the seaside, every 6 hours the tide goes in, it goes out. Excuse me, depending on the moon states and times. So in the section where Nicola went missing, it was non-tidal, so it was hardly moving. It's just a river gently flowing down the river very slowly. I threw the stick in, it didn't move, and it goes over the weir. Then it goes into the tidal section where Nicola was eventually found. So what I did, when Nicola was found, obviously I was in for a lot of flack. So on my way home, I was getting the media call me, and then I was getting beaten up in the media saying, you said this, you said that. Now, again, what I did, I looked at I said to my wife, she can't be in that river, because I searched that and she wasn't there. And I went back through all the data in the lower part of the river, the tidal section of the river where she was found.
Eventually.
Eventually found between the weir and Cartford Bridge, and there was nothing there. And I reviewed it there's not even a target. There's nothing to see. It was clear. It was crystal. And when we went down to I want to make this clear. When we got down to Cartford Bridge, we had to get out the boat because it was so shallow, because the tide went out. So any body in there would have been found weeks ago, because honestly, there's search teams on the banks at the time. And when the tide drops, it literally goes down to pebbles. And that's been clarified by loads of people, because they said how shallow the river is. And I said, she's not in that part of the river. I've checked. Obviously, in the reeds, we can't search the reeds anyway. That's not our job, because I'm looking at a sonar. But she definitely wasn't on the bottom of the river. She wouldn't have been in the reeds, because she would have been found by the search teams, and the sniffer dogs would have picked the scent up. And believe me, a decomposing body would definitely be picked up by a human very quickly. So that's what I mean by she wasn't in the river after the 19th when the body was found. That is the fact.
So when you said that you've reviewed the sonar,
yes,
are you referring to the location of where she was found on the 19th?
Yes, the lower part of the river. I reviewed, because I knew, well, from the police divers, they said she wasn't in the top half. Our target was negative. There was no other targets there. So they said our target was negative up the top.
Yeah.
And then I said to my wife, there's no way she was in the bottom of that river. And at that stage, I thought she had been potentially dumped back in. That's what I thought. Because
I think a few people did.
So, yeah, it was right by a wall. And I'm talking about deposition sites. And it was the perfect deposition site where you could be lifted out of a vehicle, thrown over the wall, and then into the river. Perfect place. That hasn't happened. I want to make that clear. But that's what I thought at the time, because the police divers dived their target. They said there's nothing here. Then I went, you imagine the flack that I took. I remember going on the Nick Ferrari show, and I had to defend myself. And Nick said, Mr. Faulding, are you going to apologise to the... And I've been on Nick's show. I've got greatest respect for Nick. He's doing his job. And he said, are you going to apologise to the family now? I said, no, I'm not, because I haven't done anything wrong. I've done nothing wrong. All I've done is try to help a poor family. That's all I've tried to do, like I've done so many times. No, and then I got beaten up on another program, but on GB News. But then Eamon Holmes actually defended me. He said, this is all about a missing lady. I said, yes, it is. And he was brilliant. Eamon was. But yeah, it's just about doing the job, isn't it?
Yeah. Top guy, Eamon Holmes.
He is. I've met a really lovely man. Really lovely man.
Stand up geezer.
He is, yeah.
Right, 3 to go. Would cold water shock cause heart damage?
Right. Firstly, I'm not a doctor, but look, let's put it this way. As you know, I fly my own helicopter. I'm a commercial diver. I have 2 medicals a year. Now, when I went to have my, it was quite funny. I went to have my aviation medical with David Talent, who's in Hawley, and I went down there, and I was busting for a wee at the time, desperate. And I went in the medical, and I had to pee in a pot, and then I held it back because they had to have me in there. And I laid on the bed, and he'd done my blood pressure, and he said, your blood pressure's a bit high. He said, it's 170/90. 90. I said, okay. He said, I can't pass you on that. I said, do you know what, David? I need to have a wee. I'm busty. He said, well, okay, then go and have a wee. So I went down. I drained my bladder. I came back, and he redone it, and it was 138 over 90. It dropped. It was just because the pressure in my bladder was putting my blood pressure up, So, hang on, where are we? Well, we're medical. Go on. I went off on a tangent then. Go on. It was quite funny. What was the question? Sorry.
Stop drinking. Put your whiskey down.
No, I'm fine. It's weak. It's only water. Go on. There's only a little shot.
It was cold water shock caused heart damage.
Right. So, no, and that's what I was getting onto. So David said to me that in the he was an RAF doctor, and he said in the RAF we dunked a guy in an ice tank, and he said his blood pressure hit 400, and it was like boom. I said, did it kill him? He said, no, it's fine. Of course it didn't. So you see the Marines doing the cold dunk when they do the Arctic training. There's a documentary on TV, really good one at the moment about the Royal Marines selection. Really good. They jump into ice cold water with a lifeline on, and they have to climb out. It doesn't kill them. So cold water shock, what cold water shock does, and what we find most drowning victims, in the summer, they run and jump into the water, showing off in front of girls, what most people do. We've all done it. And then they swim out as fast as they can, about 100 meters. And what they don't realize, the water's really cold. They haven't noticed how cold it is. And then they get cold. Then the muscles start to freeze up. Yeah. The muscles then start to get frozen. That's cold water shock. So the ability to move your muscles is restricted. That's when you drown. It doesn't stop
because you can't physically swim anymore.
And that's come from all the experts, like the RNLI and everything like that, who do the Royal Lifesavers Association and doctors. They don't suddenly jump in water and die of a heart attack. They drowned. But it's the inability to move, Luke. That's the problem.
Okay, doke. Right, we've got 2 questions. I'm then going to run for a call of nature, and then we will see where we're at in regards to the timeline, how much time we've got, whether you want to go into it. We'll do all that. So, 50 or 51, because somehow it's become 51, but which is not a bad thing. I don't know if this has been answered, but let's fire it out anyway. Should this case be looked at again?
Well, I did answer it earlier, and I think
you did.
Look. Let's be fair here. The whole case does it. Look, we can all try and beat up Lancashire Police. We can all try and beat up everybody. That not everyone's bad. Look, the amount of money an inquiry costs. You imagine like the Grenfell Tower public inquiry. You imagine how much a barrister cost. Look at the Manchester Arena bombing, how much that inquiries cost. It's all about public inquiries. This is not in the public interest to have a full inquiry into this, because that money could go to the NHS or someone else, but where we badly need it. What we need is some honest truth here, to look at the data and go, do you know what? We got it wrong. That's all. We got it wrong. But what we're going to do is move forward, and we're going to improve the way we search for people in water, where you bring the right expertise, the right equipment in, and like we've been to so many jobs. You just turn up. I mean, Surrey Fire call us in, Surrey Fire and Rescue call one after the other in the summertime. I get my pager goes off at normally 7 in the evening. Beep beep. Team go in, pick the dive trucks up, person in water. You get there, they're dead. Lowland Rescue are there, police are there, firefighters are there. We put our sonar out in the water, and literally within 10 minutes I found them. I then put my dive team in, or my colleague Nathan will be on the sonar, put the diver in, and they're recovered within the hour. Always the way. If we get called 2 weeks after, I was asked to look at a job in Poland last week for a missing man. It's high profile at the moment. And I said, what's the guarantees in the river? And when did he go missing? Went missing in May. I said, no chance. He's probably gone a long way away. Probably gone miles down the river. So you just got to be honest, and you just got to bring the best equipment, the best resources. And this is all about working as a team. This is not about trying to annihilate people like me, trying to discredit me and trying to be what you're doing. What you're doing here. Why is Faulding here? No, it's about Peter's coming along, SGI are here. We're working with them as a team to try and bring closure to this family. That's all we're trying to do, Luke. Trying to bring closure. This is not about egos or police forces are better than us or we're better than them. We ain't about that. Because like I said, not once have I tried to hammer the police during all my interviews I've done. I haven't. I've always spoken with greatest respect for the police officers, and I will continue to do that because I said I had a friend round last week to dinner who's a police officer, and his wife and kids. So
yeah. So you've got relationships with a lot of police.
Of course I have. I've been doing this so long. I had dinner a week and a half ago with a very senior police officer in London. I'm well connected with very, very senior people in the country that people wouldn't believe. Many good friends in very high places who actually back me all the way and are encouraging me to do what I'm doing today. Believe me, because they want this rubbish sorted out because it can't go on happening. It can't go on happening.
We're nearly at 1,000 likes on this video. Some really nice comments. The best live I've ever seen is one that I've just noticed, which is I appreciate that very much. We're at question 51 of 50. Work that out.
Go on. I don't know.
Right. When you initially showed the target and then they came back to you, did they say what the shadows / images were? What did they say the images were?
Right. Hang on a minute. So who are we talking about now?
So when you located a target on the 7th.
Yes.
And you told the search teams.
All right. What I done?
What did they say it was you'd found?
No. What I did, I got the target at 10:34 that day on the 7th. I then I asked my team, again, the media would have seen it because we turned our boat around. And I said, go, Ollie was on the helm, Chris was on the towfish holding the cable. I said, big target here, right? Get a bit closer, Ollie, do a figure of 8, go around and let's get some more, images. And we got the other images. And then at 10:53, I WhatsApped it to the police search advisor and then called him as protocol. Always do.
Yeah.
Not breaking any rules, not giving any information. I want to make this very clear. I never gave any operational information to the media at all. Okay. And then I said we should put a diver in. We can dive it now. And he said, no, you're not to dive. We'll bring our team in. They're far on another task, which I believe they were down near the estuary, and they got there around probably 1 o'clock or whatever. And then they dived the target. And then that was it. I gave them the target and they dived it. But I didn't watch the dive, but one of my divers watched the dive, one of my team, because he was land crew. There was 3 of us on the boat. And he said it was a very quick dive. It wasn't even a jackstay search. It was very quick. So normally you would put a jackstay across the river or you would do a number of arc searches within the area, but they didn't do a number of arc searches. They were very, very quick to dive. So you need to understand that the GPS fix on the computer is your global positioning. Bearing in mind I'm a pilot, so I do understand GPS, plus or minus 6 meters. And then you've got the towfish, which is on the end of the cables, this big missile, and you can always tell a good sonar system because you've got a big missile in the water. Yeah. That's hanging at the back of the boat, and then that's hanging in the water, and then that sends the signal out. So the GPS is here at the front, but the towfish is at the back. So the location we're getting is actually at the front of the boat, 1.5 to 2 meters in front. If it's deep water, the layback might be 10 meters of the cable. We might have 10 meters of cable out. It's all about trigonometry, 22/7. So you've got to work out the depth of the water, and it's quite technical. But this is so shallow, we haven't got a deep towfish. So you're looking at really a 14-meter diameter to search, realistically. To do right the way round to clarify a target, about 14 meters. So that's what we train. That's why we train all the time. So when I give my team a target, or Nathan gives them a target, they know that they got to search within sort of 10 to 14 meters either side. Right the way round. It's a big area, and that's when it's found.
So yeah, I get all that. I might have missed within that answer because I'm looking at a couple of other things at the same time.
Yeah.
So and that when they first came back to tell you what the target was,
Yeah.
did they say then it was nothing or it was branches?
No, it was
Then
nothing. No, they
said
said
it was nothing on the 7th.
Yeah, it was nothing. That's what baffled me because
So what accounts for the shadows and what
no,
accounts?
well, nothing exactly. I look. Let me make it clear to your audience, and I really appreciate everyone listening to me. I'm not a liar. I'm not here for publicity. If I was here for publicity, I would have gone to a national newspaper and sold the images. I don't work like that. I don't need the money. I don't need the publicity. This is about the truth to come out for a damn good organisation who do a great job for many families around the UK and police forces around the UK. And we've solved lots of crimes that have gone unsolved. Okay. Let me make that very clear. We're very credible. I'm not some guy who's just come out the blue and started this. Do some background on me. Trouble is, whenever you Google me now, there's thousands of pages of Nicola Bulley before you get to the other stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of my work back in '99 for all those youngsters here, there was no internet then. So a lot of the stuff like Tobin, Alison McGarrigle would appear in a paper. But we never, because again, we never spoke to the media that we might not be named that we were on the job. Like Tobin, people didn't even know that I was on the Tobin case until in the last few years when I've done podcasts about it with detectives and crime programs, because they never thought that we searched the house, and we did. So yeah, there's lots of things here, but hopefully we can move forward.
That's 50 questions, Peter.
Okay.
So I am just going to, again, I'm going to nip to the toilet. I mean,
Yep.
maybe tell people what you're doing for Christmas. You doing anything special? What you having? You having a turkey? You having beef? What you having? All that. Fill the time is what I'm saying.
I will.
Back
Well,
in a minute.
Those who know me, I've got lots of chickens and ducks and geese. We've got some lakes on our land, so I've got loads of animals. We're going away for Christmas, but our good friend Jill is looking after all our animals for us. So I've got 12 alpacas, 1 llama, 4 emus. They're free roaming, by the way. Ducks, geese. She's here tonight. Actually, she's come tonight. We're going away tomorrow. But loads of different animals. We've got 3 turkeys. I've got a pet pig called Louis. He's got his own Facebook page, Louis the Pig. If you look at Louis the Pig, he's got his own Facebook page. And I inherited him, by the way. And that we didn't set the Facebook page up. I've got, what else have I got? Ducks, geese, turkeys. And I've got 24 sheep, I think. Loads of sheep wandering as well. So I'm a big animal lover. And that's what keeps me sane, I suppose, living on the farm, which I enjoy. And when our alpacas pass away, they get buried, and I do a lot of forensic work. So locating, I use the bodies to the grave. So when they die naturally, by the way, cheers, Jill. Then they get buried on the land, and then they get used. And I train forensic students in forensic search for human remains, which is obviously my speciality, using ground radar, magnetometers, metal detectors, and all sorts of specialist kit. Really, were what I use, and that's what I'm sort of well known for. Really, I was just talking about my search. You've been to the farm, Luke, haven't you?
Yeah, it's quality. Yeah, all the alpacas and whatnot.
So yeah, we got a lot of land, and I bought a rundown sort of farmhouse years ago, and that's my relaxation, really. My animals. I'm passionate about animals, and I don't kill animals, by the way. I love animals. So we won't be having turkey at Christmas. I'll be having. We'll have some. I'm not a vegetarian, by the way. I do eat meat, but we don't kill our own. But I won't eat. I won't, after having Gerald for the lot. My wife said, "Let's get some turkeys," because she follows this turkey on Instagram that's got he cuddles up. Our one won't. My mum walks around the corner, and there's a video I put on Facebook the other week where he's actually chasing my mum around, and he chasing my daughter.
Is that Gerald?
Yeah, I've got a 10-year-old girl, and he chases her around. But you've met him, Luke. Anyway, we had a great time, didn't we?
Yeah, it was good. It was good fun. It was
yeah.
It was like a little holiday because I'm from small part of Manchester, just from the small streets, and then to go to like your
well, I did. I mean, I want to tell the people that I grew up on a council estate in an ex-council house. I've got a very normal background. I left school with failed all sort of my exams, really, and I went on. I obviously done well later in life, but I done an apprenticeship as a radar engineer. And then at 18, I joined the Parachute Regiment Reserve, and I served 6 years. I got my red beret. I done my winged parachute course. I done selection for the Parachute Regiment. I was in there 6 years, and then I formed SGI in 1995. So I've got a technical background as a radar engineer, and then I went on to join the Paras, and I've done 42 jumps, and it's so interesting. So during the Nicola Bulley, just after the Nicola Bulley case, I got one of the well-known newspapers ring me and said, Peter, you said that you're in the Paras in your book, and apparently you're a liar. And I said, well, he said, we're just going to go to print with it. And I said, well, you do your research, because if you read it and I'll send you some pictures. And I sent him some pictures straight away of me in all my uniforms and with a team and my mates. And we had a reunion a while ago, and they quickly withdrew it and they apologized. But it just shows you how many people have gone out to try and discredit me. And I put the pictures of my reunion with my paramates last year on my Facebook, and it's quite worrying that people will try to discredit you. It's quite sad, really. It's really grim. I'm that sort of person, I don't lie. Everything I say is the truth. I won't lie to people. And I've got nothing to benefit from lying about this Nicola Bulley case. If I'd been wrong, I wouldn't have gone to this length. Look, I've got no notes in front of me tonight. I'm not looking down at a computer. I'm telling the truth as it is. Debbie knows me. I sent the images today. She knows me very well. And Luke is an honest guy. And I can tell you, Luke's a great guy, totally honest, and he wouldn't have any dealings with me. Like we said, we don't want to swear. We're not here to do we're not here to do cop bashing. We're not here to knock the police. I'm not doing that. It's like me. I see these people trolling MPs every day, slagging off the Prime Minister and, Boris and everybody. You wouldn't want their job. I wouldn't want their job, because it must be horrible waking up with, if you're left or right, whatever way you go, but getting hammered by trolls. Make comments, fine, but don't be nasty. Don't be vile to people. It's just not the way you do it.
Well said. Well said. And I think there's some questions in there that a lot of people did have that I think personally you've cleared up quite well.
Yeah.
It was, how long we've been on for now? We've been on for nearly 3 hours.
Have we? Oh well.
Yeah,
Okay.
171 minutes. Now I don't know if you want to. You said you want to do like you kind of start to finish on the search.
Well, yeah, I mean, I will. I'll just run over it quickly. I think, to be honest, that's how I got involved really with Nicola. So, as you probably know, Martin Brunt I've known for years. Martin's a great crime reporter for Sky News. And what you got to realise about the media, they're there to do a job. They're there to report. We all read the media, so I'm not going to knock them. They write, some might change the story slightly. We all know that. But that's their job. It sells the newspapers, fine, happy days. Whatever way you are, whether you're left or right, I don't really care. I'm not into politics. I don't ever make political comments on my Twitter feed. I'm not about stabbing people in the back. I don't work like that. I just put pictures of my animals up and stuff and diving. But I got contacted by Martin Brunt from Sky, who was covering the case, and I said that he said, would you mind going on Sky and doing a chat about how to search water, which is normal. It's like during the Thai cave rescue. Those who know me, I've done a lot of caving as a kid since I was 5 years old with my dad, and I wrote about it in the book. And it was sort of, I spent my life in disused mines as a kid. So they brought me on to do the Thai cave rescue commentary, which is Sky News, so they know me. And then on the Sunday, I got a call from Emma White. Then I got a call who agreed to put my team up, lovely lady. And I know she's faced a lot of trolling as well, and Paul has. And then I spoke to Paul, and then I spoke to Lancashire Police. And they agreed for us to go up. Now, whether they wanted us there or not, that was it. It's come out in the report now that we weren't really wanted there. We were going to be a pain in the butt. But and it's exactly the same what happened years ago with Ellis Downs. We don't want you here. That's fine. And then we arrived on Monday morning. The team arrived on Sunday night. Emma kindly put the lads up in the farmhouse at her farm. I flew up in the helicopter on Monday morning. I'd done a live feed with Mark Williams-Thomas while I was flying up from the air. I flew down the river, got a rough view of the area, and then I landed, and then I spoke to Emma, met the police, and then we got on. But that's when it all kicked off. So that's when I was surrounded by so many photographers and film crews, and I walked through the middle of them at that stage, and I got in the boat, and then the drones flying over our heads, and then I got to the end of the day, and then I got out the bank, quick chat with the police officer, and then I was literally again surrounded by them. But at not one point did anybody stop to say, "Peter, don't talk to the media." I can tell you that now. Can I just have a wee, Luke?
Josh, yeah, go for it.
Hang on, carry on.
Yeah.
Talking. Sorry,
I'll just talk to the chat. I hope it's been. I'm just one of you. I'm just one of you guys here. And there were some of these questions that have been asked, which, like, 1 second, my iPad's gone off. Not off. Just hold on. Yeah, some of these questions that you've asked, like, I've wondered the same thing. Do you know what I mean? I've wondered, like, about X, Y, and Z. Just like you have. I'm no different, and I just want the truth like everybody else wants the truth. So yeah, I've learned an awful lot from these answers as well. It's been very interesting, I think. Thanks to the moderators, by the way. Like, you've done a really, really good job. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for the support. If you do enjoy this channel, then consider subscribing. I would appreciate it, and obviously, like, it grows the channel. I try and bring you good content. I try and bring you honest content, and it would just help the channel grow a bit more. And here he is, Mr. Faulding.
I'm back. Sorry about that. That was the longest pee I've had for a while, but I needed that. I think
that's pretty quick, to be fair.
No, that was all right. Just a quick wee. I think where were we? So we got there, and sadly there was no control of the media, and I ended up getting things. So we started the first day. Our job by the police was not my preferred preference, because I wanted to search the hot zone. They tasked us with searching downriver from the weir down to Cartford Bridge, which I think was about 3.27 miles, if I recall, on the report. When we noted as we went down, the tide had gone out. It was extremely shallow, and the tide was going out, and it was getting lower and lower. And we could see the bottom. I mean, you could see everything on the bottom near enough. And the sonar had to be pulled up, pulled down, and we could see there was nothing there. We got all the way to Cartford, and in the end, we got grounded out. We had to haul the boat up a bank, and we had a few laughs because Chris got his feet stuck in the mud, and it was just awful. And that was the end of the first day. And I went back and I said, "There's nothing there. There was nothing in that lower part of the river." I could see it. As the team drive me down the river, I'm looking at the screen, and it's feeding down in front of me, and I can see every footprint, I can see every rock, I can see every stone, and there's nothing there. That was clear. Day two, we then were tasked, searching upriver from the bench. Now, I was inquisitive, so they wanted us to go upriver from the bench up to the caravan park. I mean, bearing in mind we probably weren't wanted there. So I said to the team, "Right, take me down towards the weir. We're going to start, and we're going to come up from the bench." Cheers, anyway.
Cheers, everybody. I've only got water.
I've got a whiskey and my second one, but it is late, so I think I deserve a whiskey. So we came up river, and so what we did, we circled around. We put the sonar fish in the water on the corner down towards the weir. Near the weir, it's quite shallow. So then we lower the towfish in the water, and then Bolly then moved around. I said, "Right, let's keep going. And we didn't start. And then I sort of started the timer at 10:28. We chugged up river about 1.2 knots in speed, 1.2 to 2 knots, slowly up the river towards the bench on the corner where, Nicola's phone was found. And the thing is with sonar, I want to explain to her, I cannot be making any of this up. because everything is time date stamped. It's what they call geolocated. So it shows where the boat is in the UK on the map, the exact time. It cannot be forged. It cannot be faked. Every file is sequenced, so it's all stored forever, and no one, and all the metadata can be looked at forensically, and you cannot change it. So people have said, "Oh, he's made this up." No, it's there on a computer. It cannot be changed, and they can analyze anything. So we went up to the bench. We then done a U-turn. So on the way up, I detected a sort of some branches on the way up, and a tree laying down up near the bench. And we done a U-turn. We come back down, and then suddenly on the way back down, and I can see the track of the boat. Boom, massive target, like 2 arms sticking out, or it could have been 2 legs at the time, and it was a shadows cast. And I said to Ollie, "That's her." Straight away, I said to Chris on the back, "That's her. Stop, turn me around, Ollie." And then we done another turn on it, and then we done another turn on it, and then you see the boat in the media were there. And then I'm making a call at that stage. I'm WhatsApping, and I'm making a call. 10:50. So I started the search at 10:28 that morning. 6 minutes later, at 10:34, I located Nicola. 6 minutes. Okay, without
6 minutes.
a doubt. 6 minutes. 6 minutes.
Thank you, Sarah. Go on, mate.
I sent that to the police search advisor, who was a sergeant, on WhatsApp, which I've got all the records, which again I've provided. There's nothing hidden here. And then 10:27, and then 10:53 I sent it to him. Then I requested that we put our divers in the water. He said, "No, you're not. We'll dive it." So he sent their divers, and they turned just after lunch. I then carried on up the river to steer the emphasis away from the media, so they didn't know what was going on, because they didn't put a marker. And then they come back through my dive supervisor. They said, "There's nothing there." And I've gone and seen, it can't be nothing, because shadows aren't cast for nothing. So I thought, okay. So we carried on upriver doing sonar, and it's all, again, it's all time date stamped. So we carried on upriver, and I thought nothing more of it. And I said to Ollie, "Take me back down the river. I'm not quite happy with this. I really want to re-sonar that area." So we re-sonared that area, and I got the same target again, number of targets. And I came back, and I went home that night. I said to my wife, "There's something not right here." I said, I'm never wrong on this." So I went back the following morning and said, "Sorry, I want to research that area, and I want to put divers into the weir and search it." "No, you're not doing that. We want you to go down the river today." And we looked at the river, and we couldn't go down the river because the river was too shallow, because the tide had gone out. So that was impossible. You could see the bottom, to be honest. So that made me a bit angry. It was just the way I was being treated. And then the family turned up. And I'm not going to name who turned up. Paul was there, but there was others, obviously sister and everyone. And we, in the back of our command unit, and they were pleading with something to be done. Paul was really bothered about them not searching the outbuildings in the village. He wanted the sheds searched. He was literally in tears. And I know he won't mind me telling you this. And he said, I'm very frustrated. And he said, "We can't search without a warrant." I said, and that's when I said, those who didn't hear earlier, "Of course you can. You just need to ask. Just go and knock on the door." And we've done it so many times working with the police, like the Jenna Baldwin case in Wales, when I worked on that. You just go and knock on doors, and people let you in. Most right-thinking people, great British public, will go, "Certainly, let the police in, and we'll assist you. And of course you can search my shed, no problem at all.
Yeah.
A load of old junk in there, but we got nothing to hide." The first person who said, "No, you can't search my shed," then you go and get a warrant for.
Yeah.
And then
sense.
Paul was pleading with them. Anyway, that didn't happen. And then he said, "I want to do a press conference. I want you to update the media. I want your senior people down." And then I said, "I need your senior." And that's when they accused me in the report, that not the College of Police, and I want to make this clear, but Lancashire Police accused me of trying to get a photo opportunity, as if I hadn't have had enough photo. I'm not George Clooney. Do you know what I mean? No photo opportunities here. All I want, I say, look at my social media feeds. There is no photo opportunities on there. I don't do selfies. I don't want to do selfies. I certainly don't want to be photographed myself. And it was the misleading statements again. Wasn't happening. And in the end, he said, we'll come back to you. The sergeant then went away on annual leave, and that was recorded. And he never came back to me, and no senior officer turned up. It was a disaster. No press office, nothing. And by this time, this is why there's nothing to do with me. They blamed me in the report, but the speculation was increasing because the police did not brief the public what was going on. There should have been a daily or every 2-day press conference. You say in 2 days we will update the. All it needed was a quick briefing to say, sorry, we're still searching. We got people in the water. We're doing this. We're doing that, and doing all we can. That's all it needs. And the public go, well done, Lancashire Police. Great job. You're trying. That's all it needed. But don't kick the little guy, because I was the little guy, and I was the easy target to be blamed for this whole debacle, really. And
that was David and Goliath.
It was David and Goliath, and it still is. And then obviously the case went from there. We left the scene, and in the report it said Mr. Faulding continued to search on the 9th. Actually, we'd already left. We left on the morning of the 9th. We weren't searching. We went. Okay. So the report was wrong. We weren't searching on the 9th. They said they sent an officer down to brief me about my media hand. No, they didn't. He didn't. He just said, how we treated you. That's all he said. And this is all recorded at the police meeting. So lots of inaccuracies within the in the report. And me about digging holes, that was told. I showed you the pictures earlier, and I'll show you again because I really want to just explain this.
Well, there might be somebody. There's probably let me just say quickly. I just want to thank Paula for a super chat. If I can't read them, I do want to thank you for them. So thank you to Paula. I've seen it.
They blame me for digging holes, and there's been a few trolls. So Faulding just went out and dug holes in the river. This is an area that I identified. Now you may look at that. Can you see that, Luke?
Keep it as it is. Yeah, we can see that.
Right. You may look at that as a tree stump. I look at that something's out of place because of all that undergrowth in front of it, that plus what shouldn't really be there piled up. So I identified that as a potential problem site. And I then, what I done then, now in the report, they said I went digging holes. No, I didn't. This is what I done. I found an area of disturbed ground and followed the cut marks.
Wow.
And showed the police. The police come over and told me to stop digging, go away, leave it alone. And they told me to fill it back in. Now, normally they would say, thank you for that, Peter. What we'll do, get the area taped off. And I say, there is a thing called technical, which I'm not going to go into. And they should have told me if that was the particular situation. And they walked away and left it. But they told me to fill it in and never heard anything more about them. And then they accused me in the report of actually digging holes and telling the police that the family that there was a body buried there. No way. So if you look at the report, it's very intent on blaming me again. And again, the senior officer who advised me on this, he said, this was an inquiry into Lancashire Police's handling of the case. It was not about Peter Faulding. And a lot of the focus is about, it's so easy to target a little man, but I tell you can now, and I'm not being arrogant here, I've got far more experience in search than anyone on that case. Anyone on that case. I've done far more searches than any of them people, and I've got far more experience than any of them. You know?
Respect.
You know, I'm not going to wear that. I'm not going to wear them hammering me for my lack of experience. So I got a message. Yeah.
Well, just one moment. Just want to thank Bossa Nova Baby, Paula. Sorry, not Paula. Paul Taylor and Lizzie Bell for their super chats. I do see them. As you know, I can't be. There's a lot going on. I can't be reading them all. I do appreciate them. I appreciate all the likes. We've had 1,054. Yep. Which is quite a lot. There's 1,454 people in here. Wow. I heard the turkey. I'm sure a few people thought they heard a turkey then, but maybe it's a bit late for the turkey.
No, you didn't hear a turkey now.
I thought I heard a turkey.
No, that was it really, and I think that sort of wraps. I think there's no. All I'm going to say is it would be nice if Lancashire Police acknowledged that they got it wrong, but the Police and Crime Commissioner, Mr. Snowden, excuse me, come out on the report the other day and started the police inquiry with Andy Cook, not Andy, Andy Marsh from who's ex Avon and Somerset Police, so I met years ago, rabbiting on as how well they did, and I'm thinking, mate, and I'm not knocking the detectives here because there was probably thousands of hours of great work done by detectives. I'm not knocking that, but please don't hammer the little man. Literally, don't hammer him into the ground because just trying to help. That's the sad thing about this case. They've literally picked on me. Now, I hope, Chief Constable, you're going to watch this tonight and go, this guy's actually a decent man. Why have we hammered him? Why have we not actually admitted, then gone, maybe we got this a bit wrong here and there? But Mr. Snowden comes out gleaming. This was the first-class inquiry, the first-class search. No, it wasn't a first-class search because you missed her.
Yeah.
That's the fact. And I've got the images. The beauty of it, I've got the images. And I will show, like I said, I am writing to the Home Secretary with this in the new year, and we will get this opened. And then eventually, I don't want public inquiries, but we want to acknowledge that actually I was not wrong. I was right. And we all need to move forward rather than bicker at each other. We're not achieving nothing.
Well said, Peter. Well said.
Yeah, I think what will happen this year is during the summer, more people will go missing in rivers, and what will happen? SGI, the police won't be able to find them. SGI will get called. We will go to assist families because once they've been missing a few days, unfortunately, the police don't have control of the operation. If rivers are public, we can search a river, but we don't want to fall out with the police. We just want to assist the families, work alongside the police in harmony, and go, SGI, thanks very much for coming in. Now, the police report thanks the volunteer search teams. They never thank me. They just criticise me, my team. And you've got the top team in the country here, and we get criticised. That's sad. Why?
Hopefully things can change with how search is done in the future.
Well,
Hopefully
it should be. It should be. And I think that's all we want from this is to improve the search. And there was the viewers Google the Kylie Rodney search. This was another one in America recently where the police spent hundreds of hours searching a reservoir for a missing girl in a car. They couldn't find her. And a volunteer rescue team come in called Adventures with Purpose. You'll see it. I don't know these guys. I want to make it very clear. And they came in and they found her still in the car, only like 50 meters from the bank with their sonar. And everybody else missed them. But the police over there acknowledged the beauty of the police over there. They acknowledged that the search team found her. Over here, they hammer you because they can't be seen to be wrong. How wrong is that?
Yeah.
Why can't we just admit our failings and go, maybe, that's what I was hoping the College of Policing would come out and say when I read the letter to you out. And I, I read it out earlier, quite a sad letter that you just admit your failings and the public. And I think let's have a hands up for this if you agree that if you admit your failings, the public's faith in the police will be restored a lot if we just admit things and say maybe we got it wrong.
Let's see in this chat now.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, who agrees with that? I mean, I think people will go, yeah, let's admit our failings sometimes, and then it can come out and we can get it right.
Well, Peter, I think that we've done it's 193 minutes, which is crazy. Probably the longest live I've ever done.
Yeah.
Is there anything final you want to say because obviously, like this, you know, you don't want this to consume your life forever.
No, I don't.
Is there any final statement you want to say to,
Well,
to people here now?
I just want Lancashire Police to ring me and say, look, Peter, write to me and say, can we have a meeting? We want to bury the hatchet here. And, you know, I want some recognition as to what I did rather than just be hammered for failing in a search. And I took the blame for failing in this search, and I didn't, because I found Nicola. I've got the images, and eventually I'm going to go and have to do a press conference in a closed room with the media to say, I'm still being blamed. I'm not going to wear this anymore, with the experts, say, here she is. I don't want to do that. I do not want to do that, because it's not what I'm about. It's not, when I'm saying a media conference, I'm not talking go out in front of the media and say, here's Nicola Bulley, but it's more of a closed conference to say, don't knock me, gentlemen, because I am not wrong here.
Peter, one second, mate. So I've had it a few times now. Someone said, I don't know if you didn't explain it before, but I've seen it a few times. You said you would explain why you thought she was there all along in the river.
No, in what part? When I say what? When I thought
no,
she
like,
was.
I suppose from the 27th to the 19th. Do you believe that she was in the river the whole time?
Yes, I do. I believe she was in the river.
Right.
I don't believe that Nicola was taken out or murdered somewhere or whatever. Obviously, she had injuries. I know. And I'm not a coroner. I'm not gonna doctor. I'm not gonna get into that. It's not my area. But I think Nicola got into the river between the bench and where I located her at some stage. Whether she was, whether she fell down the bank, I personally don't believe that. Whether she was chased, whether she was pushed, or whatever, she's gone in the river between the bench and where she was found, where I found her, not where she was found eventually, and she's laid on the bottom there. And I think that, I know that eventually she's floated up, and the police have even agreed in the report that on the 19th, it was the high spring tide, and the water has flooded up over the weir. And this is what I said to my wife, but I never said that. I think she's floated up and just drifted down. But the water has come gushing over the top of the weir. It's flooded the river to the bench. Real water levels have risen. It's kicked Nicola up off the bottom because she's become buoyant. And then it's carried her down the stream. And that's why the police knew. The police knew all along that she was there and she was going to get carried over the weir. I know that. They knew she was there and she was going to get carried over the weir, and then she would get carried down. Then she was found. And that's where she was found, because the police helicopters were up the day before looking. Right. They knew. They've even said it in the report that on that day, the 19th and the 20th, was the highest tides. And if she was going to pop up, that's where she was going to pop up. And isn't it strange that I found her there? They've denied there's a target there. And now all of a sudden, she's got washed over the weir, and now she's been found. Exactly matches my story. Nothing's changed. You know?
Well, I'm sorry, go on.
No, I'm just saying that, if people troll me and accuse me of this, trying to get, I'm not about publicity, but I'm a great believer in getting the truth out there for people, because it cannot ever happen again.
Yeah.
It cannot ever happen again. And I want to make that clear. We never charged this family for nothing. It cost me thousands of pounds in costs. Emma kindly put us up. I paid for my own hotel. I paid for my own helicopter fuel. I paid for my own, which was probably, I get hundreds of pounds in helicopter fuel. Time, my time. I'm a busy person running a big company. Then you got all my specialist team up there. And then coming back to clean all the kit has taken a day or two. It's not just a matter of turning back up and then just throwing the kit. And all our kit's immaculate. It's all got to be unrolled. It's got to be blown up.
Yeah.
It's got to be cleaned. It's got to be repacked, reserviced before we get deployed again. So there's a lot to this. And I think this is where I just wish for people in the UK that Lancashire Police and the College of Policing could say, Peter, do you know what? Let's bury the hatchet here. Let's all get together, sit around the table, and let's work a strategy out. The way forward is how you guys can help out in the future if we get a person. Obviously, I wouldn't talk to the media, but let's work it out so we can help families across the UK. And what people don't see is every summer I got my own life jacket charity, the Lucas Dobson Water Safety Campaign, where I fly my helicopter to schools, give life jackets out of my own money to kids, primary school kids, and do water safety talks with them. You know, free of charge. I do this off my own back on water safety because I see so many drownings, me and my team, so many drownings that we have to deal with. And, you know, all these trolls who are trolling me, you go and do that. You go and spend your own money buying life jackets. If I was a fake person, I would not be giving life jackets to schools, flying in my own time when I run a multi-million-pound company, and then try to help people save their life.
Absolutely.
So let's have some reality here. Let's get together. Let's get together the National Search Centre and go, Peter, let's all sit around the table like we used to. Let's get rid of the ego trips and go, oh, SGI, actually, maybe we could work with these people because this guy knows what he's talking about. Maybe we don't know what we're talking about with sonar, because I can tell you now, the police do not have the sonar experience that we have. They do not. They do not have the same kit as us. They said in the report they do. They do not. Because I confirmed with Terry the other day from Marine Sonic that no police force in the UK has invested. They will not spend £53,000 on specialist sonar equipment. They will not. There's no budget. Let's use the people. And you can't just pick a sonar up. I spent 3 years doing extensive trials with it. You can't just pick a sonar up and go, oh, there's out the box, lads. Let's go and find some. No, it doesn't happen. It takes experience, like a surgeon, like a pilot. You know, when you learn to fly, when I learned to fly, I'd done my 78 hours and become a pilot. But it doesn't mean that I was any good. I could fly it, but it doesn't mean I was experienced at all. I got the kit, I got the badge, but I've got nothing else. Anyway,
it's all about the operator as well, isn't it? Like you said,
it's all about the operator. So hopefully, everybody. I mean, all I'll say is I am telling the truth. I've got nothing to hide, and I really appreciate everybody listening to me tonight because it means a lot to me. I'm not a liar.
For you.
Yeah, thanks, Luke, and I'd like to thank Luke for coming down. He got to know me as a real person rather than this bloke in a, sitting in a shiny suit when I was doing Nicola Bulley, but as a real person with my animals, my family, and I'm just saying I'm honest and I don't stitch people up. I don't lie, and SGI provide a first-class service to all of our clients with honesty and integrity, and that's what I'm known for. I'm not misleading. I've got nothing to gain by saying that was Nicola Bulley in the river. If I never work for the police again, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But I've still got the greatest respect for police officers. I want to make that clear. If I don't work for the police again, that's fine. But we will always be there to assist the families. And if someone goes missing, and like Liam Graham in Kent the other week, he was cool. They called us to assist the family, and we went down to assist free of charge. Okay, my own money.
Peter, I think that's a good place to conclude.
Yeah.
Cheers. I'll drink some of this water. It's been in front of my heater for a bit, so it's warm, tepid water, so it's not the best. But I'm having a wine after this. Cheers, Pete.
Everybody, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for all of the comments. Thank you for all the likes.
Yeah.
Thank you for the super chats. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you for sticking around for 202 minutes. Wow. Yeah. I'm gonna go and get myself a nice glass and chill out. Listen, everybody that's on this channel that have subscribed recently, you're a real great bunch of people. Yeah. I get a lot of great comments. I get a lot of great support, and some of the comments I personally get about being an honest, decent guy. It's very humbling. I appreciate it.
Can I just say, Luke? I showed Luke the images of Nicola months ago, back in probably August.
July
And was it? When?
I think you showed me. No, you told me in July.
Yeah.
And you showed me in October.
That's right. Okay, October. Yeah, whenever it was. But I showed you, and you've kept them, to yourself. And again, when I done the police report, I kept everything to myself. And I said in Luke's previous interview, please, I'm working with the police along with the inquiry. I'm trying to go along with this to make sure that we get the facts out. And that's what I'll always try to do. I want to work alongside the police, as I have done for many years, since 1999 and pre that anyway. I don't want to go against the police. I've got no intentions. I've got no hate for Lancashire Police, whatever they think about me. But I would love to have a meeting with them, to sit around a table and say, let's sort this problem out, because it's not fair picking on the little man. Let's all sit round and have a coffee and have a chat, and let's be nice to people. And the public would gain so much more respect from the police, with leaders who actually lead from the front and go, maybe we might have got it wrong. Maybe we got this wrong. We probably did, but we're sorry. And maybe the report should have been published slightly different, hopefully. And we can all go forward. I want to continue what I do. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows we have had our busiest year ever on turnover. SGI are an extremely busy team. We do a lot more than underwater search and land search. So this hasn't affected us in any way. We've become a lot busier anyway. So onwards and upwards. And, if you're there, follow me on my Peter Faulding author page, or my Specialist Group International, or my Twitter feed, and you'll see what we really do. But Luke, thanks for everything.
No problem, mate. Thank you.
Good night, everybody. And but what I was going to say, Luke, I'm going to start my own channel up called Break the Glass against you. No.
Okay, I'm gonna start my own search and rescue team, and I'll shave my head. Yeah.
Good man. Yeah, I know.
Guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope that's answered at least a few things that were on your mind. Again, thanks to moderators. Thanks for all of the interaction. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna end this with everyone have a nice run up to Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish you all a peaceful Christmas, and spend time with your family. And thanks to all. Thank you very much. Good night, all.
Peace out, everyone. Thanks, Peter.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.
Cheers. Still here. I can't end it. Oh, yeah, I can. I'm still here on my own. See you later, everybody. Peace out.